Cool. Now I'll record this one for reals.
For real?
I'm just kidding.
Let me do that, man. We streaming, we live. We on Facebook, YouTube, we live. Let's see, can everybody see me on there? We good on here? All right, everybody, welcome to the Financial Trinity Seminar, the very first Financial Trinity Seminar in Fresno, California. Hey, we got so much. I'm bringing so much heat today from credit scores, credit repair, financial planning, real estate, right? Everybody want to know about real estate. Everybody want to know how to make their money work for them, right? Instead of working for the money. So today, before we start with the Financial Trinity Seminar, I want to do a couple, little mindset, get our mindsets ready for making this money, okay? So everybody's with the notebooks. I want you to pull your notebook out. The first thing we're going to do is called expose the lies. Expose the lies. So any lie that you have heard growing up about money, I want you to write it down. So if you think about it, write it down. Money don't grow on trees. I can't afford this. I can't do this. So I want you to write that lie down and skip 4 spaces. So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. 2 minutes just to think. If you bring it up, write it down. 2 minutes. People on live stream, grab your notebooks. Expose the lies. Anything that you've been told about money growing up, I want you to write it down. You think about it, write it down. I can't do this. The money don't like me. Give you about 30 more seconds. Time. So now we're going to have fun with it. Now I want you to write the truth. Right underneath the lie. I want you to write the truth. Even if you don't even know the truth right now, still write it. Write the truth down. Give you 2 minutes. $30 seconds. Time. Okay. So now that's the first exercise we have about money. I just want you guys to realize people put value on money, right? So people put value on money, and people, we are the value, right? We are the value. We the one that we want money to chase us. We don't want to chase money. So we got to stop putting value on money and put value on ourselves so money can come to us. Okay, so now I want us to really open up our arms. I want our wings to spread. I want the dream list of your financial. So anything that you want to do right now and forevermore about, I want to travel the world. I want to pay this off. I want to do this. I want you to write your dream list out. Write your dream list off. Give you 1 minute to write your dream list off. Anything that you want to do in this lifetime, write it down. Money's not a problem. Thirty seconds. Time. Okay. Make it fun. Now this last one. So what are we in? September? We have 3 months until January 1st. So on a note and a whole new sheet of paper, switch it over, turn it over. I want you to put January 1st, 2022 at the top. And I want you to set a goal that you want to accomplish by next year financially. Pay off a credit card, bring your debt down, whatever you want to do. I want you to write that goal right underneath January 1st, 2022. Let me know when you finish. Everybody finished? Good? Good. All right. So now we got our mind set about money. Don't think money is not a bad thing. All right. Money is energy. If we think about it, money is energy. So the way if you bring negative energy towards money, money's going to bring negative energy towards you. All right. So if you bring positive energy to money, it's going to bring positive energy to you. We don't chase money. Let money chase us. Okay. So now let's get started with this Financial Trinity Seminar. Let's go. So, hey, I want to bring up, he came all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. He coming with that credit repair. He going to show you how to take your 600 to a 750. Levi, I want to get a hint. Everybody give a clap for Levi Epps. Let's go.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing today? Good. Excellent. All right, so we are here for some fun. We're gonna have some fun, guys. So I don't want anybody out here to feel down. So I want all y'all just clap it up for yourselves. All right, so how we get excited around here, what I like to do in order to get into the mood, because high energy equals high income. And let's face it, it starts with our credit and our finances. Is something we don't like to talk about. So to get the energy real good, real going, real flowing, get your blood flowing, take your hands, get them real wide. We're gonna do 10 claps together, 10 hard claps. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Woo! Feel a lot better already. So listen, my name is Levi Etfs, Coach Dubb. I help people figure out their finances, especially when it comes to their credit. their FICO ratings, and I help people leverage that for a better future. It's something I love. I love being able to help people be able to put themselves in a position to buy nice homes, nice cars, but at an affordable rate, right? So a lot of times when we are talking about buying vehicles, we're talking about buying cars, or even just our budget, typically what we end up doing is saying, what's the payment, right? But it's not the payment that matters. What matters is the interest rate, because if we're paying high interest rates, we can have less money in our bank account for us to be able to use for other resources. When you have to go and put a down payment on a cell phone to get your lights turned on, that's not normal, but that's extra money that's out of your pocket for being able to build for your financial future. So when you have less than perfect credit, what ends up happening is you end up paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest rates. Anybody here that was taught about finances in school? Did you guys learn how to budget, a checkbook, balance, any of that? No, there's a reason for that. So how do banks make their money? They lend out money to everybody, right? But they get paid off of what? Interest rates. So when you go and figure out when you're gonna buy a car, a lot of times you guys might sit around for about an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe a full day, trying to figure out if you can get the car. And a lot of times you end up going to get the car, but it's not the car you were going in to get, right? So simply that's because we didn't learn how to understand what the credit ratings were. And then we figured out, okay, well, what's the payment? What we really need to pay attention to is what's the interest. Because you can have a person has two people buy the same car, right? You go in and get a Toyota Camry, let's say, $20,000. One person's payment is $150. The other person's payment for the exact same car, the exact same cost, is $350. That's an extra $200 out of your pocket each month that's going towards the interest. That's the difference. So let's talk a little bit about that and let you know a little bit about myself. So I've been in mortgage and finance. I did it for about 12 years before switching into IT for a little while. And got into a situation myself where I didn't know about credit. All this time I worked in the banking and finance industry, getting people mortgages. I didn't even know how the credit system worked. All I knew was we took the middle score of the person that was coming in for a loan. We figured out their interest rate. And then off of their interest rate, we said, this is your mortgage payment. Let's go get a house. Or I can't help you. You need to go fix your credit. But I didn't know what fixing credit was. I've also been a homeowner for several years. I lost my home. So I went through trying to figure out all this financial stuff myself. In doing so, and working with credit, I was able to take one of my own friends, help them fix their credit. They were stranded on the side of the road because their truck broke down, and they were living in a pull-behind trailer because their credit was so bad they couldn't qualify for an apartment or anything like that. When I started learning how these credit systems work, not only were we able to get them into an apartment, but they just qualified to be able to buy their first home. They were able to go out and buy a truck. They refinanced it when they fixed their credit. It was a $1,000 payment because they bought a brand new truck. When we refinanced it, they saved over $500 a month because they dropped the interest rate just on that same car. So this is something that I'm really passionate about, something I really like telling people, because if you can start lowering your interest payments, then you can open up your income to be able to use it to leverage and build wealth, which is what this country is built on. So I want to tell you guys some 5 shocking facts about credit and finances that you may not know. There's over $1 trillion in credit card debt right now. This statistic was from 2019. You guys know what happened in 2020? I don't know if y'all was living in America or anywhere else in the world. But when the pandemic hit, there were a lot of people that what happened? Lost their jobs. If they were lucky enough to have a credit card, what do you think they were living on? Credit cards. So this number has gone through the roof. $1 trillion in credit card debt. We can't even count to that by the end of this conference, and we're here for 4 hours. So 56% of people don't even have a rainy day fund. So we did have a moratorium during the pandemic where people were not being kicked out of their homes, but without that rainy day fund, they're not able to still make their bills or their payments. That's a rainy day fund in America is the difference of $300 to $400 in a bank account. People don't have that saved right now. 46% of baby boomers have less than $10,000 saved for retirement. Now, I don't know about you guys, but $10,000 won't even last 2-3 months for me to be able to go out and live my life. So I can imagine what it's going to be like for these baby boomers. When we go out to Walmart, you see those greeters, you run and see these fast food restaurants who's running these teenagers, it's the elderly, because of this reason right here. Because they've been paying out all this interest and haven't been able to leverage that for the better. So that's what we're here to help you guys do today, is be able to leverage that. Now, this is my group. I'm the old millennial in the room. I don't know about any of you guys. But we call this keeping up with the gram. 40% of millennials don't have money saved because they're constantly trying to have the new Jordans, trying to have the new car, just to keep up with people on Instagram or what have you, right? So this guy looks like this for a reason. He's stressed out because of this reason right here. 43 million Americans in 2019 have less than a 600 score on their FICO rating. FICO rating system goes from 350 to 850, so you guys know anything less than a 600 is less than perfect credit. And that means that you're being hit with the highest interest rates. Or you may not even qualify, right? So here's the thing, this was 2019. You guys know, after 2020, this number is now 112 million. 112 million Americans. Yeah, you're shaking your head because I know, I understand. So listen, I was in this bucket too. We're not alone. This is something that's hitting all of us, but we can change that because of this right here. You might want to take notes on this because this is the sauce. This is what's actually going to help you guys start to figure out how this credit system really works. This is what the FICO rating system is scored on right here. 35% is what? Payment history. Let me say it again. 35% of your credit score is going to be based on payment history. So every time that you make an on-time payment, that is helping your score. You miss one payment, you can go down 50 to 100 points in your credit score. 50 to 100 points. That's crazy. The next thing you have is the capacity and amount owed. So when you have somebody who's out here dealing with that credit card debt and they continue to increase their credit card debt, they're going to drop their credit rating. So it's like, okay, well, you gave me a credit card. How do I use it? How do I utilize that to be able to go out and buy purchases without having an issue? I'm going to show you guys that before we get done here today, okay? The other part, 15%, is your length of credit. So when we have those student loans that are on our record that kind of stress us out because it's harder to qualify with that, I'm going to give you guys some information on what you can do to actually lower those payments, which will help you qualify for homes, but also understand that that is one of the best things that you can have on your credit report because it's one of the longest things that you have in standing. That's 15% of your credit rating. The other items are new credit inquiries and types of credit. So new inquiries, you never want to have more than 7 inquiries on your credit. So that's over a 2-year period. When you go to the car dealership, have you ever noticed they pull your credit like 10 times, 15 times? Well, what you can do to avoid that, simple as this. Get in touch with one of your credit unions, develop a relationship, right? What you want to do is go to your credit union when you're ready to buy a car, have them pull your credit because they're going to do what? 1 credit pull, not 15. They're going to give you a qualifying rate if you do qualify. If you don't qualify at the credit union, you may want to wait to buy a new car. But let's say you qualify, right? You can now take that and say, hey, Mr. Car Dealer, I qualify at my credit union at X rate. Now what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, great. We're a commercial lender. Unlike your bank, we have a ton of lenders that we work with. But we can match that or beat that rate if you go with us. Guess what they're also going to do? We'll give you a discount. Now, how many pulls are you going to get if you go to the car dealership? 1 from your lender, 1 from the car dealership. That's only 2 pulls instead of 10 or 15. That's how you avoid that. That's how you avoid waiting in lines. That's how you go get a car on a good rate, and you decide what car you get. The types of credit, let me touch on that quick. Types of credit, all right, there are what we call installment loans, and then we have revolving credit trade lines. Installment loans are those loans that you pay off over time, like those car loans, those student loans, a mortgage. Revolving debt, that's credit cards. That's a line of credit. Anything that you can continually use over time, those are good things to have on your credit. Now let's talk about how we can utilize that for the good. Proper budgeting. This is the first step to financial freedom. Because let's understand, if we all knew where our money was going each and every month, we could start to figure out where we could trim the fat, right? Yes or no? All right, so in order to do that, you definitely want to start utilizing an app, a budget app. This will tell you exactly where your income is going and you can start to actively see what you're doing with your income, because you're gonna literally be punching that in every single time that you go and make a purchase. So when you go to Starbucks every day, you say, oh, it's $5 here, it's $4 there, or I need to go get me some food for lunch, oh, that's another $10 here. When you start actively putting that into your budget, and you start going, dang, I'm having a lot of fast food, I'm going to Starbucks a lot. Then you get to see at the end of the month, man, I just spent $350 on just going out to eat. That's a big difference that you can start to make. That starts to add up to that $300, $400, $500 a month of that rainy day fund that we're missing out on. Also, you might drop a little bit in your belly just by doing that, you know what I mean? So don't utilize the bank's tool for keeping your budget. Why is that? We have automatic payments and stuff that roll through our account. Sometimes if you ever made a purchase and it didn't show up in your bank account right away, and you go and use your card again, and now you missed that you spent $25 here, and you went and spent $30 there. That's very important, because now you could end up with an overdraft fee depending on where your account's at, what your status is, and everything like that. So don't utilize the bank's tool, because what do they get paid on? Charging you interest and charging you fees. So if you utilize just their tool alone, you may miss something. So make sure that you're using an app. There's plenty of them out there. They're free apps. There are some paid apps. I like the one, Home Budget. Next, I have for you how to properly use your credit card. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a credit card, this is going to be a phenomenal tool for you, because what we want to do is we want to find out a couple things. Number one, raise your hand if you do have a credit card. All right, clap your hands. Oh, we got a lot of credit card owners here. Clap your hands for yourself. That is amazing. All right, good. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and figure out a couple things here. Number one, you need to go and see if you have perks for your credit card, okay? You know how a lot of people fly, the wealthy fly for free? Because they utilize their credit cards, they put away their debit cards. Simple as that. Now you're like, well, you just told me, don't go using my credit card all crazy, because if I do that, it's gonna mess me up. Well, if you have a credit card that allows a lot of points, you wanna literally put your debit card away. This is when you guys get very disciplined. Put your debit card away, use your credit card all month. And there's two numbers you're gonna wanna pay attention to on this board. It says last bill date, typically it's your statement date and your due date. What you wanna do is you wanna make sure that you've made your minimum payment by your due date. But that last bill date is the date that it's gonna go and report to the credit bureaus. At that point, you wanna have your credit card between 7 and 30% use. So if you have the money sitting in your bank account because you put your debit card away before 3 business days before the statement or due date, the statement date comes, I apologize. Make sure that your balance is at 7 to 30% usage. Then you can max that card out whenever you want to, but by that statement date is when you want to make sure that that usage is down, because that's the date that they're going to report to the credit bureaus. That's how you get around them dropping your score when you're trying to utilize your credit card. That also maximizes the amount of points that you get on your credit card. Frequent flyer miles come from people utilizing their credit card. When you max out your credit card like that and you pay it down, guess what the creditors are gonna say? Oh, we like this person, they like activity on their card. Maybe we can catch some interest off of that. So they're gonna up your amount of available balance. So that's how you find people getting $15,000, $20,000 limits simply by that alone. That's some good stuff for you guys? Y'all appreciate that? Okay. Cool. Pay off debts little by little. Okay, so if you have credit cards and you're not in a situation where you can utilize them like that, because sometimes, let's just be honest, I did it myself. I had $10,000 of credit card debt. Why? Because no one taught me that the credit cards actually needed to be paid back. And that it didn't fit into my full budget to max those cards out. So what you can do, simple trick. If you need to pay down your budget, you want to pay off your highest interest cards first. You never want to pay the minimum balance stuff. If you could pay $1 over your minimum balance, pay $1 over the minimum balance on your credit card. And here's the other piece. There's what we call the 2 and 2 method. Okay? 2 weeks, 2 days, 2 and 2 method. 2 weeks before your card is due, if you have a $50 payment, you pay half, $25. 2 days before the rest is due, you pay the other half, plus $1 at least, okay? What does this do? Interest on credit cards or any type of interest that you have is paid on a per diem. meaning per day, they're charging you interest. By simply cutting your payment in half, you are quickly paying down your principal balance, not your interest. The principal balance is the amount that you owe. So you cut them out by paying the principal down faster by just simply using that. I have a woman who used this on her mortgage, and she cut 4 years off her mortgage, making the exact same payment to the lender. You can do this with a car loan or anything like that. So if you want to pay your debt down faster and you don't have funds available, simply split your payment in half. These are going to be key. This is how credit works. In 1971, the Fair Credit Reporting Act was put in place. That allowed for us to be able to contest anything that is on your credit report that is inaccurate, out of date, or doesn't match up to what you think is there. Many people don't know this, and this is quietly kept. But when you go and work with any type of credit repair agency, if they're not utilizing this, they are not doing the proper justice to you, because they are not legally getting the information off of your report that will keep it off. All right, Hipaa Laws. You guys ever get those bills from the medical collectors and it hit collections because you couldn't pay a little $18 or they didn't tell you about it? Well, it's actually a HIPAA violation for them to transfer information over to a collection agency. And it's one of the easiest items to get off your credit report. So when we see bankruptcies happening, that is something that's not necessary, because 85% of bankruptcies in this country happen simply because of medical collections. We had a client with $100,000 in medical collections. Hipaa law says that's a violation. Do you think they need a bankruptcy? Yes or no? Proof. No different. Because of 1971's Fair Credit Reporting Act, collection agencies have to show proof now that you actually owe them the debt. How does that work? If you ran and signed a deal with a credit card company, you couldn't pay them, and they sent it to a collection agency, is that the same company that you try and call when you go to make the payment to them? Meaning, okay, I had a Capital One card, that's one of the main guys, right? And it went to collections. I call Capital One and I say, hey, I know I owe you guys money, can I pay you? They say, no, we don't own that debt no more, sorry. They don't own the debt. What does that mean? They sold it at a premium to someone else so they could write it off, and they never, ever had a contract with you. So we can go and put to the collection company a dispute that says, I don't own this and you need to prove it. Do you think they're going to be able to find a signature where you agreed to a payment plan with the collection agency or with Capital One? Probably just Capital One, which means, according to what? That Fair Credit Reporting Act, they have to legally remove that from your credit report. Nice. Nice. Beware of debt consolidation companies. We run up these credit cards and we get to that point where, hey, I forgot I got to pay them back. And you go and say, hey, there's a debt consolidation company says I can pay them, instead of $500, $600 a month for these credit cards, I can pay them $300 a month, and they're going to go and negotiate and pay all my debts for me. Do you know what they're actually doing is this? They're waiting for every last one of those items to go to collections after it's deemed your credit score really bad, and then they're negotiating the balance that's owed with the collection agencies. Well, there's a couple things in place. There's a law that says if the original creditor wants to take you to court and make you pay, they can. Does that help you if a debt consolidation company just lets it sit out there? No, it does not. Does it help you to have a collection sitting on your report that's paid? No, it does not. Let me tell you why. If you have a bad debt and you've ever went and paid it, you have a bad debt that was paid current. A bad debt is still a bad debt, which drops your score and doesn't help. So, in essence, these companies are sitting here collecting money, waiting for it to go to a collection account while they gain all the interest, and they charge you a stipend. So say your payment's $300, probably $75 to $100 goes directly to them. The rest goes into an escrow account where they earn interest, and they wait to negotiate the balance down. And you're stuck in these contracts for years. True debt consolidation only happens if you are doing a new loan where you're creating a new payment and paying off all the debt on all those other cards. Now, I would be skeptical of doing that if you can't understand how to make the payments on your cards anyway, because what happens now, you got a clean card, and if you're not disciplined, we may go rack that card up again, and now we've got double the debt. So just utilize some of these tools that I've already spoken about, and you will be able to get those paid down without having to do debt consolidation, without having to try to deal with credit repair after you've gone through a debt consolidation company or anything like that. We can remove any old inaccurate data from your file. You can do this too. If you have Credit Karma, if you go to creditrepair.com, I'm sorry, not creditrepair.com. Those are competitors, sorry. But you can go pull up your credit report at creditreport.com and look for any inaccurate information. If you have old addresses, that's inaccurate. If you have old phone numbers, that's inaccurate. If they spelled your name wrong, that's inaccurate. If they put late payments on it and you don't think you made a late payment, that's inaccurate data. Do you know how they validate debts for you to say that a collection is yours? The old inaccurate data that they have on your file. So if you clean that up and then you go and try and remove these other items from your report, they have to take it off. Some tips and resources. Get a secured credit card. Anybody that did not raise their hand and you don't have a credit card, don't go get your credit card pulled or your credit pulled for getting a new card, especially if you think you have less than perfect credit, because all that's going to do is create what? An inquiry on your report. And if we get too many of those, then we are in a bad situation. A secured credit card, if you find a company that will do it without pulling your credit, you simply put a deposit down and they open up a credit card for you that reports to all the bureaus, boosts your score, and within 12 months, that deposit that you make on it, you get back. You can add rent to your file. We talked about the other form of credit that you need, which was installment loans. Remember, we need a mix. We can actually add credit to your file for renting. Now, this is nice because what happens when you don't pay your rent? They send you an eviction notice and that hits your report, right? But if you pay on time, typically you're not able to get any results from that. Well, we have a program out there that will allow us to do that. And not only that, we can go back 2 years with the platform that I have available to you. And we're seeing in 3 to 5 business days, people's score going up 50 to 100 points just off of that one tool alone. Get a self loan. So if you don't necessarily rent right now, there's an option out there called a self loan. It's called self-pay. You're literally opening a savings account and you're paying yourself. What happens at the end of 12 months, that money that you paid yourself goes back to you with a little bit of interest and it reports to the credit rating for free. So that's pretty much what I have for you guys today, but I do want to make sure that we do a quick recap. Make sure that you guys are doing your budget. Super, super important. Understand the best way to use your credit cards, pay off those high interest debts, especially on those credit cards, and use that 2-and-2 method. Make sure that your credit file is accurate. Any inaccurate data, let's go contest it. And let's start building for our future. Because now, when you have excellent credit, you lower your interest rates, you lower your payments. When you lower your payments, you have more money available to you to invest. You can talk to my man, Jeremaya. He will help you get plenty of products to help add value and equity to your life. When you have less payments out there, when you have better credit, guess what? You don't actually need to make a down payment when you go turn those lights on. You don't need to make a huge down payment when you want to go rent a property. There are some people that are able to rent a property without putting a down payment. There are some people that spend 15 minutes in a car dealership because they simply have excellent credit. Car insurance is actually lower with excellent credit. So you open up tons of tools available to us when we start paying attention to this simple foundation of credit. Appreciate you guys' time. This is my information. If you ever want help or questions, I do free 15-minute consultations, and I'm happy to be here helping you guys out. Appreciate it.
That's what I'm talking about, Levi. That's what I'm talking about. Good job, Levi. Everybody get another clap. He dropped some gems today. So before we go into Jeremaya Boyd, we're going to take a 10-minute break. So I can go out there and stretch, get some water, and then we'll come back in there, talk about financial planning, okay? Good to go? Good to go. No, I don't need no mic.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Thanks for watching. Take a break, come back, man. You seen my man Levi just dropped some gems, man, some gems. So get that information, get that knowledge, and use it. All right, 10 minutes.
Steve, that's actually my sister.
Yes, nigga.
But everybody's kind of good now. Well, also, I kind of what he did, I did years back, I hate
I know, that's what I'm learning it from, yeah. So I like a little balance, but I'm just starting doing what he's doing, so it kind of reports to him.
Yeah.
Girl. And you know I pay off because I am notorious for your maximum, so I have to. Yeah. Well, I do have to, but I'm gonna check out a little budget.
Yeah,
Every now and then.
Because if we use the Facebook app, we can use.
It was working. What's that?
Say, we use Facebook.
Oh, yeah, every day.
Day.
You know me, I go through it in the month. Yeah, she's like, I'm like, she's so crazy.
Don't look at the. Yeah. I can see the $37.
It's everything.
Just like.
Right? It was 60 and what you call it, didn't I pay for?
You didn't pay up.
Oh, I didn't.
That's what you know, then I will.
Did you see the right down the street.
You got his number?
Yeah. That's what it was. 5 or 6 years.
Because my brother ended up being somebody.
Hey, how are you?
I recognized you and I thought, we sat with her. How are you?
Good, how's everything?
Good. Same old, same old. Yes. Trying to live, trying to.
Send us some
Necessary tools.
Oh, what's up, y'all? Hey, for those still tuning in, this seminar was free. The Financial Trinity Seminar was free. From here on out, you gotta, you pay, you gonna pay attention. So I'm about to drop some gems on you guys after Jeremaya, Triple Up Dreams, and you gotta follow those breadcrumbs, man. You gotta follow the breadcrumbs if you want to get your life back. if you want to get your life back. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe to the YouTube too, man. So we're about to start here in a few minutes. Jeremiah's gonna be coming on to give y'all this game, all right?
You want me to grab yours?
Yeah, no, I think it's over now, but, now that he's just like.
Yeah.
I think that's the next speaker, I think he's gonna.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
I
I'm
know,
not
right?
hungry.
I know, just think everybody listen.
You said this on the same thing, so I must.
Watching stream?
You don't want y'all to go to sleep before.
That's
smart. Yeah, it go hand in hand. It go hand in hand. You gonna get some meat this time, because the last time. We're going
We probably gonna do like something, we should do something like be ready for Thanksgiving.
Live on there, they can see.
Huh?
They can see it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they got you live. I like that.
But it's better than coleslaw and stuff like that.
Oh, word. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you You family now. Why you yell that? You family.
Awake over there? I see you guys awake over there? Are you awake over there?
Yeah.
So we're going to eat. Yeah, here we go. Oh. All right, we back. We back. Everybody up? Ready to go? I'm gonna do what I do in football. Let me get 2 claps. There we go. There we go. We get everybody attention in here. All right, now we're gonna keep it rolling. We're gonna keep it rolling. The next guest I have is my brother. He flew or drove in here from Vegas also. We bringing people in to give people information that they need for free. We're doing this for free. So I have my brother Jeremaya Boyd, the CEO of Triple F Dreams, come to get y'all the financial planning. Let's go. Everybody get a hand clap.
There we go. Hey. How's everybody doing today? Oh, man. It's a blessing to be back here in California, man. It's my second home before we relocated to Las Vegas. And to be here to support my brother with the Financial Trinity, just to come together to fellowship with everybody. So we're going to get started. I am Jeremaya Boyd, and I'm a corrections officer there in the state of Nevada, and I'm also a licensed life insurance agent in Las Vegas, Nevada. And the one thing that I'm truly passionate about are 3 things. That's faith, family, and finance, which is why I founded the Triple F Dreams apparel line, as well as the educational applications for people to be able to learn different things that can help them unlock their dreams. So we'll go ahead and get started today with our presentation. And good. There we go. Good. So I founded Triple F Dreams right after COVID 2020. And what really kind of made me lean into providing a service to people was the fact that a lot of folks, went through so much trauma in 2020, with their finances and their spirituality being tested and within their family. A lot of people went through distraught, loss, and my big thing was just about restoration. It's about helping people develop strategies that could personally uplift them and help them unlock those dreams for their faith, their family, and their finances. So that's how I came up with Triple F Dreams. Me personally, I've been through quite a bit, and financially, I've had to develop my own educational system to teach myself how I could be that person that could be the game changer for my family, that could break those generational curses. So when I was 25 years old, because I see we have some millennials here in the room, you know what? I found myself 6 figures in debt when I was in Florida. I remember sitting in Lori Patton's office in Orlando, Florida, having to file for bankruptcy. budget basically gives you structure within your own finances, because we're all business owners. You know, we're business owners of ourselves. We have to be the CEO or the CFO of our own financial life. You know, no one else is going to do it for us. You know, we're adults, so there's a certain level of responsibility that comes with adulthood, and that's being able to learn and manage your finances. So having a budget is key. You know, being able to tell your dollars what to do. That's very, very important. A lot of times you have marketing companies that spend millions of dollars to hack our minds to figure out how they can get us to buy things. When you walk into Costco, they have things set up specifically to get your mind to open up and get you to salivate on buying things. You walk in there, you see those TVs, they look really, really good, right? When you walk through your favorite retail store, they have things set up specifically to kind of get you to open up. When you walk into restaurants, they have a smell in there to open up, almost like pheromones, to open your mind up, to open your spirit up, so that you'll want to spend money with them. So when you think about that budget, you got to understand that discipline, you have to develop that over your own time frame. LT, will you hit that one real quick? I think it might point. So I want to share this Bible scripture with you, because we're all allotted money. You know, we are all born into different types of families. Some families have more resources than other families, but again, we spoke about this earlier. Family is important. It's the cornerstone to everything that we have in this world. So when you look at this scripture from Matthew 25:14-30, there's a parable where he talks about each servant was given a talent. Some were given 3, some were given 2, some were given 1. You got to just learn to accept what you have been given and learn to multiply that. You got to work with what you got. So if your job pays you $15 an hour, be faithful over that job and maximize that opportunity. If you make $60 an hour, maximize that opportunity. Because when you create a budget and you select the lifestyle that you currently are at, and you can manage that, trust me, the windows of heaven open up and there's provision that comes, because you've already shown that you can manage what you already been given. So a lot of times people don't look at it that way. They want and they want and they want, and it creates discontentment within them. But you have to understand that you've already been given something and you have something to prove. You have to prove that you can manage what you already have. And then the master that's in heaven, he opens the windows of heaven and he pours out more provisions. That's the main thing that people have to understand. So why is that budget important? Well, that budget's important because it helps you to know exactly how much money you have to do the things that you love and to do the things that you desire. You know, Cordell had us to write down a list of things that we dream, things that we desire to have by January 1st, 2022. Well, that's coming right around the corner, right? And there's that old saying that people say, oh, tomorrow's not promised today. So most people never plan for the future. But you know what? That failure to plan has caused a lot of people to be in the bondage of slavery to debt and to mishaps in their life. So you do have to plan. Because when I look around this room, there's all different age groups here. So sir, we've done something right. We've been able to survive and we've been able to maintain. So the likelihood of you surviving and seeing tomorrow is very high. It's higher than most people will actually admit to. So you have to make sure that you have that budget, you have that structure, you have to know what your why is and set those goals for yourself. So the one strategy I want to introduce that has helped me and my family to climb to the place that where we're comfortable financially is the 50-30-20 budget rule. It's very simple, and it's not to be overcomplicated. It's looking at your after-tax dollar amount. So let's say that you make $6,000 on a monthly basis. Well, after you have your taxes and everything deducted from out of it, let's say you're left with $5,000. What you will want to do is divide that up into a pot. 50% for your needs, 30% for your wants, and 20% for your savings. The importance of this is now you can start creating categories and budget lines within your budget system that can help you manage the money and the resources that you have. So you look at 50%, you're gonna spend money on groceries because you gotta eat, and we all love to eat, you know? And then housing, you gotta keep a roof over your head. Nobody wants to be living in a car or under a bridge out here, so that's very important to you. Utilities and health insurance, car payments, these are all essentials That word got thrown around a lot back in 2020. You're an essential worker. This is essential. I had never even heard that word prior to 2020, right? But it made people really look at their finances. When you see people out of work, laid off after being on jobs for 15, 20 years, they had to look and understand, okay, did I have that rainy day fund set up? Did I have enough access to credit to be able to basically sustain my family during this pandemic or during this downtime? So that 50% is very, very key. Those are things that are kind of non-negotiable that you have to have in line, you have to have in check based off the money that goes into your bank account each month. Then you think about your 30%, which is your wants. We all got wants. We all want to dress fly. We all want to go out to a restaurant. We all want to travel. We want to experience life. And there's so much joy and so many things to experience in life. You got to have that set up so there's a balance. It can't just be all work and no play. So you want to set that up, and you want to pick a certain lifestyle for yourself that is something that's manageable. You don't want to get yourself in a situation where you're living beyond your means. You know what I'm saying? Because then you start feeling the stress and the pressure of that, and it sucks the life out of you. So having that set up and having money allocated for those date nights and those things that keep life vibrant, keep it feeling good, is very, very important. And 20% savings. It's actually my favorite category out of all because it deals with retirement and legacy. I'm really big on legacy because I have two beautiful small children that I'm so thankful for. And I always think about their future. And I always think about my childhood, my desire to give them more than I had. And it's not out of a bad place, but it's just knowing that these kids have been gifted to me. So I want to make sure I leave a legacy for them. Remember what I said earlier, you got to find your why. That's the motivation. And that's what helps keep you going, because life can be hard. And reporting to a job or running your own business, it's not going to always be easy, but you got to keep your eye on the prize. So you got to find those things that are important in life to you, and those are the things that you value that keep driving you. So that savings aspect, you're never supposed to just make all this money and then throw it back out there to circulate. You got to put some away for the rainy day. You got to put some away for your retirement so that you can retire with dignity. And we're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit ahead of ourselves. So when I look at some statistics, it says 1 in 3 people in America actually use a budget system. So whether that's old school, pen and pad, or using digital technology, there's not a lot of us that are doing it. I'm using the word us because we're all in this together. There's an old saying from back in the days, each one teach one. None of us is above no one else. We're all on the same level in this. And we're here to try to help each other and share best practices so that we can all live the life that we've always hoped and dreamed. And that's the big thing for us. Money management. It's less about knowledge and more about behavior, which is why I talked earlier about discipline and why it's so important. You've got to develop discipline, because there's so many people trying to get in your pockets, and they use all these different marketing tactics to hack you. Think about all the social media that you're bombarded with. You're just going through trying to make sure you're checking on your family on social media, and you look on there and there's that new pair of shoes. There's that travel vacation. So they're all trying to get at you. And these people in Silicon Valley, they understand this. They understand the power of the mind and psychology. So they know how to get into your pockets and basically get that money out from you. So for us, it's having that discipline to say yes and when to say no. You have to know that for yourself. But there's some things that you have to avoid. There's some budget breakers, impulse buying. When you walk through any aisle at the grocery store, what do you normally see? You see magazines, you see all these little trinkets, and they're trying to get you to buy stuff impulsively that weren't even in your budget. They weren't even on your shopping list when you went in there. So these are things that are going to take from the money that you set aside in your budget, that you said that, hey, this is dedicated to this, and this is dedicated to that. So these are things that you have to be careful of. Those impulse buyings will definitely tear up your budget. Keeping up with the Joneses or keeping up with the gram. Look, man, we're all in this together. So this whole mindset of competing with other people and trying to compare yourself to someone else's life, you have no one to prove anything to but yourself. Are you better than you were the day before? Are you better than you were the year before? That's what elevation is all about. It's not about you getting ahead of anyone else or having more than that person. Because at the end of the day, when you're gone, people aren't gonna talk about all the stuff you had. People are gonna talk about what kind of purpose you had and what life you led and how much you gave back. So really that's what it's about. If you're accumulating stuff, it's really just to give back to other people to better their lives, to add value. So that's the main thing. Like keeping up with the Joneses, man, that's a recipe for disaster. You know, try to get that out of your mindset. And then ignoring your debt. You look, a lot of times people don't want to deal with pain. But there's an old saying, if there's no pain, no gain. You're gonna have to look at the reality and know your finances. You're gonna have to know that, hey, I had that $5,000 bill on the credit card that I had to run up because the water heater went out and the transmission dropped out. You can't avoid that. That's your reality. You just have to figure out how to address it. And he talked a little bit, Levi talked a little bit earlier of different techniques that you can use to address how to attack your debt. You know, there's the debt snowball that the financial guru Dave Ramsey's put out there, where you start with that little debt, you get that thing paid off, and you start rolling more momentum. That's important. You know, write down those debts. You need to know what your financial outlook looks like, because then that's the only way to really attack your finances and to get ahead and start to fulfill those dreams that you have for yourself and those things that are on your checklist, right? And then lifestyle inflation. A lot of times when people start making more money, what do? They start spending more money instead of actually saving or investing for their future. One more, guys. So when you get that raise from your job, first thing people want to do, go out, buy a car. Go out, go shopping. Do a big shopping spree and take people out to dinner and do things that they necessarily wouldn't do. Again, it's about having that balance. And you'll figure that out for yourself. I can't tell you how to live. You'll figure out what your level of comfort is. But that money that you're getting, those are more resources that you have earned. Somehow, some way you have earned that. And it's important to pay yourself, but you also have to think about, what is that future looking like? What is that thing around the corner that I can't see that's coming? Because there's always something that's coming. You got to know that there's always something that's coming. So you got to be prepared for that. And all that is just self-preservation. It's an instinct that all of us have within ourselves to know, I can't just spend all my resource, because once that's spent, where am I going to get it from? I can't get it from mama. I can't get it from my uncle. I can't get it from my best friend. Why? Because that's really not right to lean into other people unless there's emergency circumstances. But for the most part, you want to be in control of your finances. You want to be able to be that person that's the lender and not the person that's actually taking on the different loans and debts. That's what this thing is all about. So a budget tool is something that we all have to take some time to examine for our lives. And everybody has a different lifestyle, so you'll figure out how to divvy it up once you actually lay out all your finances. And there's several tools to do that. So back to the steps for success with anything. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, who's going to build a tower and they haven't taken the assessment of the cost? You have to look at the cost of what it's going to take to build and maintain something. A lot of people will tell you, oh, it's easy to make all this money and to have this lifestyle. But the question is, how long can you maintain that? That's where people get into trouble. That's where people start having issues with integrity and doing the right things. Think about all these great companies over the years that have come around, companies like Enron. They were making all this money, and everyone's trying to praise them and give them props on how successful they were. But they were doing things the wrong way. They weren't doing it with integrity. It wasn't built on value. It wasn't built on actually helping people. It was built on taking from people. And that's not what this is about. The whole thing for us is everything has to be built on integrity and character, which is why I stress faith, family, and finances. Having those three things to look at and stay focused on, they'll keep you on the straight and narrow. They'll help you find that purpose of what's deep down inside of you to bring that value to society. So when you're doing anything, you always want to assess the cost of it, because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where now you can't maintain that. That's where people get in trouble. And that's where you start to have issues with integrity. Having that breakdown of the 50, 30, 20, you really want to add in the emergency fund. Again, we don't have to look back that far to know that we're not that far out of the pandemic. When you look at 2020, where stimulus checks had to be cut, people were standing in line to get food. Never thought I would see that in America. You know, it challenged me to go out into the food banks in Las Vegas and to work to help people. And I seen people of all different races, all different age groups. I seen lines of cars at these schools for people to get food boxes in America. Never thought I would see that. But look how quickly things changed. You know, and that's not to look down on people. I see Mercedes-Benzes pulling up. I see hoopty cars pulling up. But it was people there trying to just survive and feed their families. That emergency fund is very, very key. So I'm going to give you a strategy on how you can actually build that and build it quicker, actually using your credit card through a point and reward system. You should at least have a minimum of $1,000. The statistics show that most Americans don't have between $400 and $500 to cover that emergency. This is a quicker way to do it, and it's a smarter way to do it, because cash really isn't king, credit's king. You have to have access to credit. You have to use it very wisely and savvy, because it will help you with the lifestyle that you want to enjoy. Using smart apps. You can do it the old school way. You can use spreadsheets, but you want to have access to it. We have so much time that we spend on our phones doing things that are really non-essential and for entertainment purposes. What if we did something that's actually worth building, something that's going to help us achieve, and something that's going to help put us in the position that we want to be in financially? Using apps such as Mint, Every Dollar, Good Budget. They're just among some of the other apps that are out there. There's several ones that you can look up, but personally I use Every Dollar. That's through Dave Ramsey, because it's very simplified and I have access to it. So I set our budget, me and my wife, we sit down. Before every month we sit down, we set a budget for ourselves based off our income. Now, if you're in a business where it's your income fluctuates, like commission sales, I used to be in commission sales, so my salary was never the same month after month, but we would find an average of what my salary was. Then you'll want to take that into account. But if you're in a business where it's like a salary business and you know what you're making, you can base it off that. You plug in the numbers to know how much you're going to have available in your resources. And then you go from there and you look at the different categories. So we have the 50-30. You look at that 50% and you find out what are those essentials. You know, you got rent, you got your mortgage, you're going to have your life insurance in there, you're going to have your groceries in there, and you start to plug in the numbers. And you're going to come up with a total. It's going to tell you if you're in the green or if you're in the red. You preferably will want to be in the green, because that means that you have surplus. You have excess money available to you now that you can use for funding things at your church, or funding your retirement account, or money that's available to go towards that emergency fund, or just whatever you want to use it for. Your travel plans, you have that available. So you want to get used to using those apps, because when you're going through and you're spending money, you want to keep track of it. That's where people lose that discipline. And look, this isn't the funnest and the easiest thing to do, but you got to understand that this is really essential to your everyday life. This is something that you have to do, like drinking water and breathing air. You got to have your finances under control, or it can take over your life. And that's not what we want. We don't want people going in the wrong direction. We want you moving in the right direction. So that's one thing that you can do. 3 reasons why a budget will change your life. Reducing your level of stress. Like, mental health is a huge issue right now. And a lot of attention is being put on it because people are just overwhelmed day to day with their everyday life, with their work life, family life, things that are going on. Now, if you add in financial distress, that's the #1 cause for divorce in America. And we're over 50% in that area. You know, we don't want that, because now you're tearing up the family structure. You know, and we know the key to success is having a 2-parent or a 2-partner household. Having 2 incomes is going to give you more stability. And if you have children or have nieces and nephews that you support, that's going to give you more resource to be able to take care of those things. So that's very important, is reducing that stress level. Having your finances under control, it kind of alleviates a little bit of that. You'll always have stress, and stress can be a good thing, but just not on a long-term basis. Future planning. I love thinking about my future, you know, because I know where I came from. I know that I grew up on Section 8 housing. I remember my life being cut off. I remember having to live with family members and live in homeless shelters with my mom. And to see where my life is now is because I kept my eye on the prize. I always had hope, always believed that these things could happen. I just had to tap into the knowledge. I had to do my own research, and I had to take a little bit of everything, kind of a la carte. So it's not just one system. What I'm giving you isn't all that's out there. You're gonna have to figure out what works for you and formulate a plan for yourself. We're just putting the knowledge out there. Wisdom comes with application. You have to figure out how you're gonna apply it to your life. So a la carte is you take a little bit from here, a little bit from there, like buffet style, and you formulate it for your life, for your future. That's the key, is that right there, your future. Guilt-free living. When you have money and you're doing the right thing with it, and you don't have to feel guilty about looking nice, driving nice things, taking vacations, paying people extra money when you go to restaurants and giving them tips more than what the restaurant bill was. That's a blessing. We see that stuff all the time. You going through the drive-through and the person behind you never even met them, and you paying for their food, doing stuff like that, man, that make you feel good inside. That's what being rich is having that type of feeling and having that mindset to give back to people. The last one is living a life that you deserve. Know your worth. A lot of times people say know your worth, but there's a negative connotation with it. Know your worth. You know, you're selling yourself short, but knowing your worth is just really like actually knowing your worth, like knowing what your net worth is, knowing what your finances look like. I said it earlier, a lot of people don't even know how much they spend. So you have to know those things so then you know how to formulate a strategy and know how to attack the areas that you need to improve. That's what life is about. When you wake up every day, it's finding purpose in attacking and coming up with solutions. Everybody has to understand that we're going to be faced with our own set of problems. They always will show up. But when you get up having a purpose and a mindset that I'm going to attack that, I'm going to address that, it gives you honor. It makes you feel strong, and it builds character. And when you start accomplishing these things and checking them off your list, you're going to see that you're going to build that momentum and confidence in yourself, that self-belief, that faith in yourself, to know that you can do bigger and better things. And then your future will begin to open up. You'll start to challenge yourself and do things that you didn't think you could do in the past. All right, so credit cards. Me and my family, we personally like to use them. Some of the financial gurus that are out there, they tell you to stay away from them. I love my credit cards. Why? Because I've developed the discipline and I have the knowledge and the wisdom on how to utilize my credit cards. For us, here are some of the pros. Building credit, earning rewards, fraud protection, and tracking your spending. You have all that available to you through the online resources. When you think about fraud protection versus your debit card, when you travel or go out of the country, you know, hey, you can be pickpocketed, anything can happen. People can use scammers and they can duplicate your credit card stripe and begin to use that. Having a credit card offers you some liability protection. So that's one key. Earning rewards. Think about it. Why would you spend your hard-earned money on a debit card at Costco where they're giving you back 4% on gas? And that's going to accumulate. You see where gas prices are now. I wish they were the prices that they were in the past, but that's going to continue to go up. When you think about groceries, most credit cards are giving you 3% back. Why would you spend your hard-earned money when you can utilize your credit card based off your budget to build up points? I can't even tell you how many hundreds and thousands of dollars we have built up using our credit cards and using them wisely. That emergency fund that I spoke to you about earlier, if you're trying to build that $1,000 emergency fund, you've been having issues and you have access to credit cards, utilize those points and those rewards to easily do it. Bank of America, that's who I bank with personally, and they have a system with their credit cards where you're able to transfer your rewards immediately to your account. I have a special savings account for that. All I do is use that credit card. I'm in the process of closing in on a real estate deal. I had to pay for the inspection. What do you think I use? The money's in my account, but I use that credit card. Why? Because I'm gonna get points. And as soon as those points hit, usually takes 5 to 7 days, I just transfer that money. When you're talking about using this on a monthly or a daily or monthly basis, it's gonna add up quickly. And then at the end of the year, you're gonna look back and you can see, I made $250,000 or $250 up to $1,000, or if not more, utilizing your credit cards. That's one trick that you can use. The other thing is you have to be mindful of that balance, the cons, the potential to overspend. Again, we're going back to discipline and understanding your budget, having access to that on your phone through the applications that are out there, and making sure you don't fall into debt. Because it's very easy to overspend. That's one thing that you have to understand. Is typically when you're spending with your hard-earned cash or money, yeah, you'll only spend what's available to you because that's a physical, tangible resource. But if you have a card, it's easy to swipe and overspend. So you just have to develop that discipline. The fees and interest. For me personally, we're considered max payers, so we're transactional credit card users. So as soon as I spend, similar to what Levi said, I pay off my balance. I never carry a balance personally because my credit score is kind of where I want it to be, where I'm comfortable. And if you're a person that's not there yet and you still need that access, then you would need to spend a little bit different. But for us, we never carry a balance. So fees and interest, you need to know that because there's so many different promotions out there where they'll say, hey, you have up to 15 months, it's interest free, take advantage of this deal. Well, why not take advantage of that deal? But just understand that within that 15 months time and those terms, that interest rate is coming. It's gonna be a huge hike. You have to be prepared for that. So just be mindful of that. The negative impact on your card, on your credit. So if you're not paying your bills on time, or if you're allowing that balance to run over and you're just paying the minimum, you can negatively affect your credit. So you have to be mindful of that. So you just don't want to go credit card crazy and then you're not mindful of the negative aspects of it. The three types of credit card users, the max payer, revolver, and the non-payers. Obviously the non-payer is someone you want to avoid because we're talking about credit and having access to be able to buy cars, homes, take trips, build wealth. You definitely want to pay your bills on time because the thing with credit is the key. It's going to unlock things that cash can't necessarily unlock, right? So you want to make sure you pay your bills on time. The revolver is a person that's just paying the minimum. You kind of want to avoid that. If you're in a situation where financially you 1 month or 2 months, you're not able to pay over the minimum balance, then you want to figure that aspect out. But for the most part, you want to pay that entire balance off if you can. If you do need to stretch it out, always just pay over the minimum amount and you'll be in good standing. The max payer, again, I think the transactional aspect is the way to go. I use those credit cards wisely. So if I go to Target, I know I'm getting back 5%. And Target is one of my favorite stores. So I'm not going to spend my cash and my debit there. I'm going to take that 5% savings up front and go right in and pay that credit card right off. So being in that particular category is going to help you to maximize those rewards and those points that are available to you. So Amazon, how many of us shop at Amazon? Everybody shops at Amazon. Stop shopping at Amazon with your debit, right? Because they have a credit card available to them and it's pretty easy to get approved. They give you back 5% on your purchases with Amazon Prime. Utilize that card. I'm not plugging them, but I'm just saying utilize that card because you're using your own debit card and it's like, what are you getting back? I know every day I show up, it's like a new package at my house. I'm like, what do we need now? But it's like, we're just spending wisely, utilizing their card and gaining those points. And it adds up very, very quickly. Especially last year when I looked at how much we spent with Amazon, I was like, wow, because a lot of things were shut down in Vegas. So e-commerce was the way to go. So if I was just using my debit and I wasn't getting back any points, then I'm actually losing. But I was going to be spending that money anyway. So why not get those rewards and have that check at the end of the year? And you're talking like $350 that you got back on money that you spent. And what's nice about the option with Amazon is that you can actually utilize that money with purchases. So you don't have to wait till the end. You got somebody shaking their head back there. You can utilize those purchases. I just bought something the other day. And I was able to use some of the points that we had built up from that card. So that's something that you want to take advantage of. Costco, I spoke to them earlier. The 4% back on gas, to me, is a no-brainer. But there's all different types of credit cards that have all different types of offers out there. You have to research those things to find out what's right for you and understand that lifestyle. But it's all about having the money work for you because you're spending your hard-earned money anyway. When you're doing these transactions, why not be getting something back? And why not be utilizing that money and leveraging it for something that you're going to need in the future anyway? Because we have essentials that we have to buy, we have to maintain. So becoming your own CFO, taking personal control, utilizing the spending summary or a spending report for your credit cards, tracking your spending. The thing that I like about it is because it's pretty seamless. When you swipe the card, it goes right in. When it's connected to these apps, it tells you exactly what you're spending your money on. You need to be able to see it. We're visual, so you need to be able to see where your money's going. And if you're sitting here trying to write down every transaction or keep all receipts, it's kind of analog, it's kind of old school, and most people won't stick with it. So when you can have the digital resources available to you and you can review it, that will help you. It'll take you to the next level. Reviewing your transactions. I recommend reviewing your transactions between every once a week up to 2 weeks. That way you can see if you're on point with your budget, because that's really gonna unlock if you're gonna be able to maintain or meet your goals. That's really, really key, is keeping a good eye on your money. And then accept the responsibility. You know, no one's spending your money for you other than yourself. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like when you go out here, I'm forcing you to buy this or buy that. That's your own personal decision. So you have to take that ownership that, like, I didn't get into this situation financially because someone else made me do it. I did it. So I have to get myself out. And you have to have belief in yourself that you can. You just have to put that focus in on those areas. And once you have laid out your financial, your financial, if you laid out your whole financial outlook for your finances, then you'll be able to see exactly what areas you need to attack. And then celebrating your progress. Paying yourself first is very, very, very important, because if you're just all work, no play, and not having a balance, you're going to lose steam very quickly. I can tell you from my own experience, where it's just like, I know we can't spend that, we can't put money here, we can't do that. And you lose the motivation. It takes the fun out of life. So you have to make sure you have that balance. Paying yourself first can be done through your investment accounts, because that money can automatically be deducted out. You could actually use that money on an actual savings account that you have set up for yourself, for you to have leisure out of your 30%. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind. Time for self-care. You know, for me personally, I kind of got my metrosexual thing going. I like to go get manis and pedis. Like, that's my thing. Like, just to pamper myself. Because I work hard, man. Like, I'm on a prison yard outside, 110-degree weather, you know, sweating, you know, looking after inmates. That's my thing. I go and treat myself, and it helps keep me motivated. Yeah, I'm doing the right thing. I'm showing myself self-love, keeping that balance. You got to figure out what that is for you. Spending time with family and being spontaneous. So everything can't just be about the plan. When you have excess, utilize that excess and do something spontaneous, something that you typically would not do, something that's different. Keep life exciting, you know what I'm saying? And your family, make memories. As I get older and as I put more effort into being a husband and a father, it's just learning how to make memories, like things that stick, because every day can kind of be monotonous. So you kind of just forget a lot of things. But when you make memories, people don't forget memories. It's there. You know, there's no amnesia with a real memory when you plan it. So make memories. Think about the things that you can do that are exciting and things that will leave that lasting impression on your family's life. The savings, that 20%, I really, like I said, like to focus in on that, because you have the credit card reward savings. That's what you can utilize as your tool to help build up your savings, those perks. The emergency fund, again, that's another tool that you can use to help build that emergency fund with your hard-earned money as well. Legacy and children accounts. That's really, really important, and it's never been easier to set up those legacy and children accounts so that if you do have kids, your kids can start investing earlier. You know, a lot of us were from the older generation. I was born in the 80s. You know, we're just now hearing about how to invest, you know, in the last, I'll say, maybe 5 to 10 years. But you got to think there's past generations that have known about this, but we were never exposed to it. So we're kind of behind the curve a little bit. But now, thanks to technology, it's kind of leveling the playing field. So our kids, we're able to put money away for them starting now. And so by the time they're 18 to 21 years old, you know, they have thousands of dollars put away. And it was like minimal amounts that we put in to those accounts that will help to set them up for a financial future that can be very prosperous, and they can start out on the right foot and not necessarily repeating a lot of the things, the hardships that we had to go through. You know, that's the main thing, is making sure the next generation is better off than we were. Retirement. Retirement is so very important. You see right now there's so many baby boomers that are retiring or having to go back out into the workforce. You know, retiring with dignity is very, very key. But planning is very, very essential in setting yourself up to be able to retire one day and retire comfortably, so that you don't have to worry about having to go to work or having to work with a bunch of 20-year-olds and you're like 60 or 70 years old. You know, those are things that you kind of want to alleviate, and you can start doing that now by being aggressive with your retirement account. So we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a moment. And then giving. Giving is very, very key. You know, when you get more resources, I don't know about you, but that's what's really kind of unlocked things for me as far as my blessings is the more I've gotten, I've just learned to be happy with what I got, and I just try to give to other people. It just makes me feel good, and to see other people smile and to see other people taken care of, that's what's rich to me in life, you know what I'm saying? And my perspective is a little bit different. Like I said, I faced a lot of hardships early in my life, so I just look at life different. I just look at it like, man, you gotta have an impact, man. You gotta have something that people will remember you for. And when you give to other people and you make them feel good, that definitely is one way to do that. The investment strategy for beginners. Like I said, there's a lot of different apps that are out there. These are micro investing apps that you can utilize. You have Acorns, you have Robinhood, you have accounts such as Binance, Stash. Binance is an app for cryptocurrency for people that are into that. It's a little bit more volatile, but that's one thing that you can look into because cryptocurrency is definitely going to be a part of our portfolios. Having access to digital currency is really going to be a future. It's going to be a future move that you definitely want to make now. You don't want to be behind times as it continues to progress. When you look at like Bitcoin and Dogecoin and things of that nature, because you can get in for very small amounts now compared to what it will be worth in the future. Robinhood, those apps, they allow you to go in there and they're non-commission apps, so you're not being charged to invest in those into these stocks or into these ETFs or bonds. So you're saving money there, whereas if you were to go with like a traditional investment brokerage like a Fidelity or E-Trade, they're charging you fees, so you're losing money. So that's one thing that I definitely recommend. And then when you think about what to invest in, for me personally, I go into ETFs. Why? Because they're already diversified, and what they are is just they're stocks, they're single stocks that are divided up into multiple different companies. So when you buy an ETF, you can get a small piece of Apple, a small piece of Walmart, some of the top 500 companies in America. So that way you're not too heavy in one particular company and not so heavy in another one, and then your portfolio is not balanced out. So these are things that you can invest in, and generally they return about 7 to 10% on the amount of money that you invest. The other thing with these investment accounts, there's a minimum initial deposit. Like you don't have to be rich anymore to get into investing. In the past, people had to have $1,000, $3,000, $500 to get in, and like I said, most Americans, looking at the statistics, don't even have $500 to even cover an emergency fund. So having that money, having that large amount of money available to you to invest, that hesitation and the obstacles already been removed by this technology. So you're able to get in and you're able to start growing your investment portfolio very early. Acorns early. I spoke a little bit about the legacy accounts. I really like this account because for like $5 weekly, you can start investing for your children and for their future. And that money is going to gain compound interest over a large amount of time because, the kids can be a year up to 5 years old. And within that range, by the time they're 18 or 21 years old, now they're looking at having 5 figures available to them in what we call a custodial account. So that money can be transferred over to them. So they're already starting out probably better than a lot of us started out. And this is a great conversation starter. As they get older, you can give them something to look forward to and start explaining the importance of investing in your future and not just spending all your resources, on everyday things that you would normally spend your money on. 4 ways to build your wealth in the stock market. Starting with a plan, creating a diverse portfolio, and thinking long term. Most people think that they're just going to get rich overnight. We know that that's really not the case. It's kind of still taking a realistic standpoint and a point of view when it comes to investing. There's nothing wrong with hard work and taking the ladder, taking the stairs to get to where you want to get to. And it helps build character, and there's something gratifying about it, in my opinion. So when you look at stocks and bonds, stocks are just giving you bits and pieces of ownership in companies. So when you want to invest in companies that you feel are of value, Costco, I said earlier, Target's one of my favorite places to go. I pay attention to certain things. When I walk into Target, I like the way it looks compared to going to Walmart. I see clothes all over the floor. I like the pride that I see in the employees. So you're buying into a product. Coca-Cola is another one. When you buy into stocks like Coca-Cola, they pay out a dividend. So they're actually paying you back money off the money that you've lent them through the stocks. So these are things that are important. Bonds. Right now, bonds, they're a little bit light on what they're paying back just because stocks are through the roof. But bonds are also a safer way to guard your portfolio. They give back, right now between 2 and 4% back, but it's a safer way. And that's basically you're loaning a company money so that they can invest for you. But you want to have a balanced portfolio between stocks and bonds. Then ETFs and index funds. Again, I spoke a little bit earlier about ETFs. The reason why I like them, again, is because it automatically helps to diversify your portfolio so you're not too heavy in one area and not having enough significance in the other areas in the sectors that are available. With index funds, the same thing applies. There's a low cost to get into these funds, so it's going to give you the best. It's going to give you the best balance within your portfolio. And when you think about the cost, you always have to think about the cost when you're making these investments, because you can go into mutual funds, which are managed accounts, and they're being managed by a portfolio manager, but it's eating away at your returns. It's eating away at your growth. So these are things that you kind of got to keep in mind when you're investing, especially if you're a beginner or you don't have excess money to do these things. So that's why I like index funds and ETFs. The ETFs are individual stocks, and then the index funds, these are funds that you're gonna have to invest in with minimum amounts as low as $1,000 to get started. The mutual funds, one thing that's an advantage with mutual funds is that they do have target date accounts. So if you're a person that doesn't want to actively trade, if you're a person that doesn't want to have to just look after your investments, you can select a target date fund. And with a target date fund, let's say that you set the date for 20 years from now, which would be 2041. That's when you want to retire, or that's when you want to have access to pull that money. That what's going to happen is that a particular investment account is going to invest aggressively for you in the early years, and then it will adjust by itself without you ever having to do anything to basically go to less risk and become more conservative over time, so that your portfolio will continue to grow. But as you get older, you don't want to be as aggressive in the market where you can potentially lose money because you're heavily exposed. So that's one way to go about it, is having a target date fund through a mutual fund. So there's high risk and there's low risk available. And then REITs. REITs are basically they're real estate investment trusts, and they're stocks. So you have access to buying to real estate. So a lot of people may not have access with cash. And Gino speak a little bit here about how you can get into real estate with no money down. But for someone that doesn't go that route and you want to try this route because you're comfortable with the stock market, then this is another way that you can go about investing in real estate. And it allows you to invest in different sectors. So you can go commercial, you can go into actual developments, and these companies that are taking the money from you, they're investing it for you, they actually pay you back the dividend. So you're getting money back, and it creates passive income. So you get somebody, let's say that you hit it big, you have $100,000 and you want to invest that into a REIT, you can be creating a monthly passive income for yourself, or a quarterly passive income for yourself through a REIT that's paying you back money that then can be reinvested to grow your portfolio even more. So that's something that you can look into, are the real estate investment trusts. The last thing, I told you guys earlier that I am a life insurance agent, so I'm really big on this. And the thing that I think about with life insurance, it really goes back to my own, experience with facing a near-death experience when I was 18. My life was almost cut short due to a medical issue. So it gave me a different perspective on you may not actually live to see 50, 60, 70 years old, and that life can change instantly. When I was faced with my near-death experience, I actually went to my high school prom, and at my high school prom that night, I was supposed to go out to the hotel, kick it, and do things that high school kids do, and that never happened because I ended up in the hospital, and I was in the hospital fighting for my life, in ICU, tubes down my throat, and spent 3.5 weeks in a coma. And then 4 months later, I was getting out of the hospital about 60 pounds less in weight. So my family wasn't really prepared at that time with life insurance, and the medical insurance that we had was insufficient. So that's why I took on all that debt, which later, subsequently caused me to take the bankruptcy in my early 20s to reset myself financially and allow me to be, in the position I'm in today. So life insurance, to me, I call it love insurance. It's really just protecting yourself, your family, and all your assets. And you can get term life insurance, and the average cost for term is like $26 a month. So you think about that, you're spending that at McDonald's, you're spending that on coffee at Starbucks, and all your favorite little retail stores. And it's really just for budget conscious people, and there's term limits as low as 1 year, but typically it's 10, 15, 20, and 30-year terms. And for young families, it's the best way to go when you think about the amount of money that you're spending for the amount of coverage that you're gonna get. So like a $26 a month premium that you would pay on a monthly basis, that might get you $250,000 to $500,000 worth of coverage. And that could help cover your final expense costs with burial. That could help replace out the income for someone that's not there. That could help set up that kid for that college fund. That could pay for a mortgage. These are things that we all have to take into account, because the reality is, we all have to face mortality at some point. Whole life, that gives you a set premium, and that basically is going to protect you, and there are no term limits on it. So you're paying every month, and you're paying for the entirety of the policy for your life. So you'll pay slightly more, but it gives you that lifetime coverage, and then it can't be canceled for medical issues. So let's say that, at 50 years old, you had to go into a nursing home for an issue that you're having with your medical background. They can't cancel that policy, and you can actually build cash value in it that you could actually have taken out through a withdrawal system, and you can loan that to yourself to cover things that could possibly happen in life. Things that you may have to do at the house as far as repairs, or to cover those costs in the nursing homes or long-term health costs. So that's one thing that I like about whole life insurance. And then final expense. I mean, oftentimes, no disrespect, we do see people posting on social media about GoFundMe, and they don't even know the expenses that are involved with GoFundMe, how much money they're taking out when people are donating to GoFundMe to cover final expenses for burials and things of that nature. You gotta think, most burials, especially I think here in California, it's like $7,000 to $10,000 that will cost for a burial, to take care of somebody. Well, most people don't have that available, so how do they cover that? You can do that with final expense insurance, and it's a minimum cost. And it's just burying people and allowing them to transition with dignity. It helps cover legal costs, medical bills, because if you have someone pass away and say they have ownership of a house, that house could still go into probate, and you still have to have legal money to pay for those expenses. That can be very expensive. So then you're dealing with the financial stress that we talked about earlier, and then you're still having to grieve. That's not a fun thing. I lost my grandfather last December, 1 week before his 87th birthday, and he passed away, and it was labeled as a COVID death, even though he had a lot of underlying health issues. And the fact that we had to kind of go through that experience with family members and people, with discussions of money, it left me a little tainted, to be honest with you. And I didn't have a problem doing what I had to do financially, but just seeing other people, be the way that they were, it's like, wow, it shouldn't be like that. So again, that motivated me to get into the insurance industry, because you have to be the change that you want to see in the world. You can't hold that against people or hold grudges. You have to live as a healed person. So you just have to be the change that you want to see and make the difference. And for me, it's all about helping people not have to experience that pain that I experienced. And it's also setting them up to transfer generational wealth to their family. And you can do that through life insurance. It's not a fun thing to talk about, but you have to protect your family, you have to protect your assets. So that's one thing that we have as far as life insurance goes. I'm gonna wrap it up with this, guys. I do have a website for F Dreams. It's called FakeFamilyFinances.store. And what we do at F Dreams, like I spoke to you guys earlier about my volunteer work back in Las Vegas, is we help to feed people that are in need, seniors, children, families that are going through tough financial circumstances. So a lot of our profits from F Dreams, from the website, it goes towards a donation at a company called 3 Squares back in Las Vegas. It's where I volunteer, and we just prepare food for people and try to feed people. It's very, very important. And if you guys want to support, you're able to go to the website and to do so. And just know that $1 actually prepares 3 nutritional meals for families. So if you guys want to support, we have a lot of great merch available there. I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Let's give it another clap for Jeremaya, boy. Yes. So now we get to go eat. It's break time, all right? So I'm gonna give y'all a little rest, get a 30-minute, get something to drink, get something to eat. Then we coming back here with the grand finale. All right? So everybody have fun. Yeah, it's still real. We gonna pause it.
Nah, I don't.
All right.
pause. Let's
Cool,
go.
cool.
We're going on break.
So, oh, I ain't coming to work. I ain't coming to work tomorrow, bro. Oh, you know,
Y'all, hey, go get her families next. Y'all take you a little break. Thanks for joining, and we're gonna have a Q&A session too after that. So you can ask questions on the live stream as well.
Over there. Same salad. She made a different salad this time. I'll go there. That's fine.
What y'all talking about, going to a nice restaurant? Yeah, for sure.
So River Park, yeah, you can see River Park too. That's
That boss up there, what?
Is that one? Yeah, it's live.
Yeah, it's live. Mhm.
You scared? You gonna say it?
Yeah, it's watching.
Hey, is the charge reserved yet?
Does he got a plug in?
You said low battery, you know.
Battery too, though. Need it. No image is perfect.
What?
Gather around.
Levi, do the clicker have to be? Did he just click if I move the laptop?
Yeah, as long as it's plugged in.
All right. Oh yeah, he does. Yeah. So I'll take a show.
I'm gonna have it plugged in or whatever, but make sure it's focused, because it's got like whatever. Make sure it's focused and then just hit record. I think it does. Yeah, it should. But I don't know if I got it set on the auto, man. I don't know how to work this thing for real.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, you gotta work anymore? Yeah. Get it on the, I know it's got the ISO auto, yeah, hook that thing up.
Plug it up, plug it in.
I forgot that was the same one. Man.
Yes, auto. Auto. Some new settings, application.
That was going hard.
Hey, go back up there. Oh.
Yeah, this is the 12. The 13 was just the same. They come out every year. So I'm like, yeah, even with
On the phone, it was really good, and I've seen it go. Let's see what game the 13.
The 13 to come out with. Is it already? Yeah, I wonder what's different. They probably took a little bit from the 12. Right, use that, bro. Let me get a Best Buy credit card. You didn't hear it from there. You didn't hear it from there, man. What you doing, Andrew? Trying to get that. What's going on?
So they all trade up. So it's kind of like they all have it. Singapore already did it.
Where they're using all digital currency, they're not using the regular. So they're fine, that's why they block. They block cryptocurrency. Yeah, they hate it. So China does that everything. Yeah. All these companies that have more, they come to what they do, and then make pictures of them.
And she was like.
Oh, okay.
The ones that I heard she's here. So that's.
I see why Cordell got a little meat on the bone.
They down here for a month.
That, like, it was like,
Yeah.
so, transition is started today.
They started here?
Huh?
I heard they started here.
Yeah, they're starting there, and that's why I really think they're winning it. But one of the reasons they said is because they're in the electricity and their next crazy is taking up so much. And then something about their worried about like having something like that. But then when you go deep into it,
Yeah, they get ready, you know what I'm saying?
honestly, they're not like it's trying to remove say like it's a US market, then
Well, but seriously, we owe China like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, y'all don't stop. Y'all ain't getting nothing else. You know what I'm saying? China the one with the money, bro. They got money.
But I think they just want their, like, place that have,
like crypto.
Yeah. And it's all in our head. Like, it's all in here, right? It's not great.
You have to sell that asset or go into debt and use that asset as a matter. So, you know. Yeah, absolutely.
It sounds so good.
My BTI.
VX US, VHQ, and VX, and that's a full diversified. Yeah. That one, I mean, it was, nah, still got the Doge and the Shiba. Shiba was going up for a minute, and then it went back down. Yeah. Is it still like 8? Last month, sir. Oh, you think?
Boys okay? Everyone okay?
Everybody straight, everybody's gonna break it down and then do it. Nice way. Everybody's great. I got something for tonight. I'm so glad you're
do is, so I was over there like, oh, shit, and I was like, oh, I gotta go spend that. Yeah. So it go 50 minutes. Yeah. So it's like, I walk out here like,
That's how much you said it was. 79.
she said, how much they are?
Yeah,
Oh, I could be
79 and you're like,
everybody else is 73 in the house. 73. I can't sleep with it. It ain't swear they ain't hot, but they be hot, bro.
Yeah, they do. They have like 76, they can set it up.
Okay, so pretty much your intro is like 1/3 of the part.
Yeah, the last yeah.
Because I gotta keep, once I eat, I gotta go work. So it was like,
Right after this?
nah. Yeah, we fine. We don't go. So it's like, yeah. This is what we do. So we probably. Oh, okay. So yeah. So we probably.
I think that's why they say just go to the match.
It's gonna be going. It's gonna be going right there. You went to Walker? Bro, I feel like I want to go out there, but. Oh, you go?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what's up.
They're for work here to Egypt instead. And COVID, the Delta variant got pretty bad, so they're like, oh, we have to go to White House.
Oh, that's good.
And that's why, yeah, just filmed the whole trip. And then after like my clock out at night, I would hang with my family or hang with my friends.
Yeah, man. I know you're from there.
Yeah.
How many, you go back off?
I go back to the office. I have to go back with me.
Oh,
I
heard they don't like, you look, you already said, yeah. Why?
It's because it's called serious up there. So you know they when you go in and out. The mayor over there. I can just say
That's what they do here. What started November 1st, I think. Right, so that's why I'm hesitating to go.
That's why I switched it. So I switched it up and I'm like,
Oh, they call it.
yeah, but I was able to myself, but none of my coworkers, because everything there like 4 days earlier, so I had to fly like, I would have flight 14 hours. And I didn't know language, so I would have to get like currency over there.
That's what I get irritated for 4 hours. So I get it. Like Iowa. Yeah, I went to Iowa.
4 hours?
It's like you have no because the time go forward. Yeah, that's what is it? Yeah, so,
Oh, that's right, huh? So they're
like 2 hours. Yeah. So literally, it's like, it is the layovers. So you literally yeah, I see y'all on yeah, it's too crazy, bro. It's like y'all be going to Dallas.
Yeah, we go to Dallas a lot. We go to Wake there. Sure, the housing is nice here. You go outside, you actually outside. I'm looking for this meeting. No good food there.
No, they didn't. Right now, you ain't gonna see it.
That's good. Yeah, I was like, the barbecue's good. I was like, all right, I was just like, this is it.
Right now, yeah, you can see it. I just think we're team stuff.
What the heck?
It was okay. Yeah, because
I'll pay the taxi.
Yeah.
That's what some guys think. Taxis like, this is California. Like, I'm honestly, California is just a different bunch of pieces of California. We go to San Fran 10 times different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You go to LA?
It's true. I always tell people, I'm like, there's 3 different worlds, bro.
Yeah.
Literally.
Different. Then you go to SF, well, it's a world.
Yep.
All the way out to LA, it's a little world.
Yep.
Texas, it's just.
It's great. Everybody doing the same.
That's the same thing. Oh, yeah. I went to school for it, so I started like seriously in 2018. And I graduated in 2020. That's when I started. It's like most of everything's freelance. I just like full time for last one. It's just like a show company now.
Make sure I
Go this way. 3, 2,
It's the right time. And I think that's with everything we talk about, we start getting this information. That's where. Absolutely.
He will always be there.
So say
She getting me right.
Yeah, that's good.
Everybody got one. Everybody got one.
When I got to a certain level, I'm like, oh, okay, it's time to start looking for somebody above where I'm at, because I have a lot of peers that I love and need to work. Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, but I still am like, this is what I need to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. True. I told you, I was that wrong. Like, really, people have you know what I'm saying? Like,
Did you know that later?
One day you be back in there.
I guess, yeah, it's just basically. It really helped me. So that's what I asked me. Like the setup in the foundation for this kind of life is like, okay, this is something that actually it's like I'm educated about the Mexican.
Yeah,
That's barely how I feel. Not necessarily. But not. I mean, I was more like
One minute.
Accumulate like that. You think that.
Yeah, 1 minute. Welcome back. Now we're gonna come with we coming with this. You want to learn about money? You want to learn about real estate? I'm bringing it to you. The right way. All right, the right way. I want everybody to welcome my brother, Boykin in the house. Let's go.
All right, what's up, y'all? I ain't gonna lie to you, I almost didn't make it, first off, because Heaven's Kitchen, I ate that food, I was about to go take a nap. That was good. Yeah, that's right. Let us know. You came to perform. So, first off, I want to thank Cordell for putting this together, Coach Cordell. Man, give him a hand, y'all. He's been manifesting this, for a while, and he's all about uplifting people. We're just uplifting those around you. I always say that if we're in competition with ourselves to get better every day and uplift those around us, then everybody will win. We don't have to compete with each other. We don't. To Levi and Jeremaya, man, hey, y'all kicked that knowledge today. Y'all kicked that knowledge, man. So I appreciate it, man. I'm just glad to be part of such a circle of, just Black men that are out here handling their business, uplifting others, teaching financial literacy, and getting financial freedom. That's what it's about. We're not supposed to sell our time in order to survive. And I want to say this, all of us have dreams and goals that we want to achieve in life. But it's hard sometimes because people will discourage us. We expect certain people to support us, family members, friends, and, they don't, and it hurts, so I've learned anyway to not have expectations of others. And I want to tell a story real quick. This was just last summer too that this happened to me. We were at a get-together, a family get-together. There were some friends there, and I had mentioned that when I get married, I want to have a destination wedding, and I want to pay for my guests' accommodations and fly them out. Well, apparently my sisters thought that was funny, right? They started laughing. They weren't laughing with me though. They were laughing at me as if I wouldn't get there. But I'm here now. So I think I'm on my way. So Angela and Cassandra, you're ready to fly out. So yeah, it's gonna be somewhere tropical too, that's for sure. But and I can't blame them. I can't blame them for that, and to a certain extent, because I graduated third from last in my high school class. So I wasn't expected to do anything, let alone be standing up here. I made plenty of mistakes, and I know a lot of people have. A lot of people have, and they didn't have these, that support, and they made mistakes, and they got down on themselves. And it's important that we don't dwell on the mistakes that we made or the failures. They're not really failures. They're lessons of, how something may not work. And now we can fix that and move forward. So these things are beneficial for us. And I'm sure, just like me, a lot of people in this room probably didn't grow up with the role models that you needed, grew up kind of rough, had a tough time. And we can't compare our difficulties to others and say, I went through this, so it was harder than you, or what you went through, because it's unique to that person. So what you went through was extraordinarily difficult for you. And what I went through was extraordinarily hard for me. So the thing is, growing up rough and not having those role models, like me personally, when I would make decisions at 8, 9, 10 years old, it wasn't thinking that, okay, I better make a good choice today because 15 years from now when I'm in medical school, this is gonna matter. I couldn't make a choice like that. Or 10 years from now when I'm in law school, this is really gonna help me. I was fighting for survival on a daily basis. So the decisions that I made were decisions that were gonna affect me that day, to eat, to have clothes on my back. But the thing about that is this too, though. We can't sit there and dwell on that like, oh my goodness, I had a hard life, so that's why I'm only making minimum wage, or that's why I only got my GED. You cannot dwell on those things and blame your past or blame your upbringing, because now that hard life and fighting for survival, that's what gives me an edge today in what I do, because I was fighting for survival on a daily basis. So now when I'm negotiating with the sharks that wear shirts and ties, I have an edge, because I'm fighting for survival every day. This is what I know. So this is what helps me. This is what helps me win. And damn it, I've been winning. I've been winning. So it's a good feeling. So I want you guys to know that. And I'll say this: I teach people to become the bank. I teach people to become the bank. And it sounds crazy, how can you become the bank? Because banks run everything. I mean, we have to lease our futures, right? A bank, their acquisitions, just like with real estate investing, you acquire a property, and then you have a disposition. You dispose of that property, your exit strategy, you make money, right? So a bank's acquisition is us going into debt. We are their acquisition. Us leasing our future is a bank's acquisition. And then a bank's disposition is them selling that debt on the secondary market. So they sell it to, some other lending institution, and then they sell it to the next. So this is what we do. We are a bank's, we're a bank's profit, our future, leasing our future. And it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. And by them selling our future, they take control of our lives, in essence. Because if we want to live better, we've got to go into debt, just like Jeremaya was talking about, like Levi was talking about with the credit cards. And if we're not educated on these things, we end up spending a majority of the income that we bring in by selling our time. So that's why I always say a job, it stands for just over broke. J-O-B. You just over broke. You know what I mean? Like you get that paycheck and you make your car payment, you pay your rent, you pay your mortgage, and you may have a little bit of money left, and you got to make a choice. Can I go out to eat? Can I bring my family out to eat? Or can I bring them to a movie? I can't go to dinner and a movie because I'm just over broke. I got a job. I'm just over broke. So this is why I teach people the strategy that I learned through blood, sweat, and tears. I learned this through blood, sweat, and tears, but I enjoy the blood, sweat, and tears. I enjoy it because the way that I learned it was, I was doing landscaping 2 years ago, mowing lawns. And there's this saying in the Bible, and I'm paraphrasing, and I know I'm probably butchering it, but he who is faithful with little is faithful with much. So that means to me that, like, when I was working landscaping, I wasn't just doing a half-assed job every day when I went in, because that's not where I wanted to be. I know I'm better than mowing lawns, but I gave it my all every day because that my name is attached to it. So, I worked my way up the company and I was running it, and the owner ended up having a medical problem, and I was running the company, so I saved that company for him. I saved that company while he was out for a month. I was doing everything for him. And it's snow removal too. So I during the wintertime, I wanted to learn how to plow, because if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. So I'm thinking this is a tool in my tool belt. And plus, I'm the supervisor. I got all these people under me. I ran your company for you, so this isn't a problem. This is what I'm thinking in my mind. And he kept putting me on. We hired a new kid, and the new kid comes in. It was like, I think the next day, he had this kid in a plow. And I'm like, man, something ain't right about this. This is a little, I've been here. I've been putting in my work. I don't talk about what I'm going to do. I show you by my actions. So we had a discussion about that. And I didn't like it. And he ended up not calling me back when it snowed. When you work in the wintertime, you're doing snow removal, you only work when it snows. So he didn't call me back. And that was the best no call back of my life. Thank God that he didn't call me back. He thought he was hurting me. But the whole time it was a gift. And this is what I preach, to the GoGetter family members and to everyone in general, that difficult times are a gift. Those difficult times are a gift from God. But we just don't know how long it's going to take to unwrap that gift. That's the thing. It could take 2 days. It could take 2 months. It could take 2 years. We don't know. But if we have that in our heart, that it is a gift, damn it turns out good every time. But what it does is it's refining us. Going through those difficult times is refining us and preparing us to receive the bigger gifts that we have in store. Because opportunity and success, they'll test you. They test you. You can't be successful and have a job as a landscaper and only show up half the time and only mow half the yard, but think that you're going to be a millionaire and be able to handle that. So opportunity and success will test you so that you can handle those greater gifts. If you can pass those tests, then success has no choice but to bend to your will. And that's what I'm doing today. And I want to give this back to the people, to the everyday hardworking people that, like my mom and dad, that didn't have the knowledge and the know-how to do more than work a construction job or be a waitress and, be just so broke every week. Be worried about if we're going to be able to pay our rent or have food and all that stuff. And that's not how we're supposed to live our life. That's not what we're meant to be on this earth, is just surviving with anxiety, wondering, I can choose between paying a bill every month. Do I pay this credit card and not pay this one? Or do I make my car payment and then make my mortgage late? That's not what life is meant to be. So my friend, my business partner, he's a doctor, right? And we had always planned on investing in real estate. So he was going to finance it, obviously. He's a doctor, he makes money. I was going to run the business, I can talk well, I love to talk. My fiance says I do way too much of it, so I'm working on that. But anyhow, he was having problems borrowing money from the banks. And the man, he makes a lot of money and he has the ability to make money. So I don't look at obstacles as a bad thing. So I just keep pushing forward. And he says to me one day, he says, well, why can't I just take over somebody's mortgage? I can afford to pay that. I don't have to borrow money to do that. Now, mind you, I had written a 58-page step-by-step plan on how to invest in real estate, the traditional way, to do a fix and flip, right? You can find all this information at Barnes & Nobles, where they want you to find it. Anything that's easy to find, or anything that they want you to do, it's gonna be easy to find. So I'm like, man, you can't do that. That's crazy. I've never heard of it. I wrote a 58-page plan, man. I do this. You don't. You're a doctor. Go be a doctor. So we did a couple flips in a 3-year time period, 3, and but we're pushing forward. And now my job's not calling me back. And I got a daughter, I got bills just like everybody else. So I'm pushing forward. And one day I said, man, I'm just gonna look into this. So I look it up, and I found an assumption, which is the same thing as borrowing money from a bank. You know, you gotta qualify for the debt. There's all these regulations. You gotta jump through all these hoops, and you're basically just a glorified employee of the bank because you gotta pay them every month, and then you gotta pay interest. So I continue to search, and I found something called Subject to, right? And I found Subject to, and the thing about it is, Subject to, it's subject to the existing financing. That means that we can purchase an investment property by taking over the existing mortgage. So you just have to be able to continue to make those mortgage payments on that debt, and the deed to the house goes in your name. But, you know, you can find everything on YouTube. I mean, hell, you can start a small business off of YouTube. So people that are watching, if you want to be an entrepreneur, go to YouTube. Jesus, it's not that difficult. So anyway, the first video that came up though, the guy was saying all of the stuff that you need to do, the contracts that you need to have, because you can't just go in and just do it. I mean, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And one of my mentors says, this is simple, but it's not easy. So I'm gonna tell you guys now, I'm about to perform brain surgery on you. All right, so you won't get this in one sitting, you won't, and that's all right, because I didn't either. But if it's something that you're interested in, I mean, since April, when I got my first Subject to, I went from the bottom 80% of income earners to just last week, September 17th, to the top 1% of income earners in a 5-month span. I just deposited another check. This last check last week was $30,000, and I didn't spend any money or go into debt. So you can do this. I mean, if I could do it, anybody can do it. You know, you just got to be willing to put that work in. But I watched that first video, and the guy comes up there, and he's real dry and just, you know, monotone voice and just really boring. And he's saying, you know, you got to get an information release, and you got to get your purchase agreement, you got to get your seller acknowledgements, and you got to get a power of attorney. And I was like, and he just skimmed over that, a power of attorney. I'm like, what the hell? Oh, here's another one I can't do. You know, who's going to give me power of attorney? Nobody's going to do that. So I'm like, oh crap, man, I got to keep looking. Well, my mentor now comes on the screen, Chris Haskins. And the way that he delivered it and the artistry within which he used on how we talk to our sellers and our prospects and how we get a limited power of attorney. I was like, I can do this. I can do this. I mean, I can do this. And I'm getting goosebumps right now because I knew about real estate, but I knew that this was the keys to the kingdom. A tear literally rolled down my cheek when I heard him explain it. I'm not playing. A tear rolled down my cheek. And it was a cheer of joy, though. It was a tear of joy because I know what I'm going to do with it. I know how hard I'm going to go because I don't have to get credit checks. I don't got to show W-2s. There's no debt to income ratios. There's no credit applications. I don't even have to step foot in a bank, and I can buy an investment property and own it. Oh, shit, man. I hope they're ready because I'm on the way. This is what I'm telling myself, right? So I called my business partner, and I'm trying to explain it to him, though, but I can't articulate it yet. So he's like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't even understand what you're saying. I was like, Travis, me either, right? But give me 2 months. So here we are a couple of months later, and I started the GoGetter family, And I think everybody in this room probably at one time or another has called themselves a go-getter. If you haven't called yourself that, you've thought it, for sure. Because you're a go-getter in one form or another. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to be a go-getter. You can be a single mother that goes to work, goes to the store, picks her kids up from the babysitter, gives them a bath, maybe sits them in time out, or gives them a little spanking on the ass, you know, they probably need it. But she's a go-getter too. So it has many different definitions. A go-getter is somebody who is not gonna let anything stop them from getting to what they want. So the people in this room and the people that are watching, you guys are go-getters too. And I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate the viewers that are watching on the live stream. And with the information and knowledge that was given today by all of us here, you can take bits and pieces of each, or you can listen to one of the specialists that were up here and go out and get it. So I want to get started because, again, my fiance says I talk way too much. I'm working on it. I really am. So brain surgery, guys. It's a new reality, all right? I'm going to take you from the traditional way of doing real estate to the non-traditional, where I live. I live in the non-traditional world. I've always been non-traditional. As Angelo, man, you know, probably, boy, thanks for still being my friend, man. I appreciate it. So with the conventional way of doing real estate, whether it's a fix and flip or buy and hold, you either got to have a ton of money of your own, you know, an inheritance or whatever. You just got to have a ton of money, or you're going to have to apply for credit. You're going to go to a bank, a hard money lender. You got to show your W-2s, debt to income ratio, proof of funds, or 20% down to borrow the money, or you're going to need that lump sum of money. And I'll say this, I now own 5 properties since April. I own 5 properties that I get passive income off of every month. I get a lump sum initially when I buy the property. I pretty much get paid to buy it. I just got a $30,000 check last week, September 17th. August 16th, I got a $20,000 check. And these are all on social media too. You know, I show receipts around here, just so y'all know. So that's what you do on the conventional side. And this is what they want you to do. And we don't have to do this. You don't have to do any of that stuff. I haven't done any of that. None of it. Yeah, I'm still looking at it. None of it, because it's garbage. You don't need it. You don't need realtors. You don't need inspectors. This is just, I mean, I respect it, I guess, because they created an industry, you know, some jobs. I mean, people need jobs, people need income, so I respect it in that form, but you don't have to do this stuff. And they don't want you to know that. When the rich and the wealthy and the elite create an industry or an institution, they make rules for them, and then they make rules for us. The rules that we have to play by are much more restrictive. And I mean, there's just a lot of crap to it. Now, the wealthy, on the other hand, this is what they do. They don't have to go to banks. They definitely aren't doing any credit checks. No W-2s, no debt to income ratios, no realtors, no inspectors, no appraisers. And this is what we can do. We can become the bank. And they do not want us to have this knowledge because it puts us at the same starting line as the wealth and the elite. And I just told you guys when I started that I went through hell growing up. It was rough, but it gives me an edge. So if I'm starting at the same starting line as the wealthy and the elite, I'm going to win that race every time, every single time. I'm going to win it because I'm fighting for survival. I'm fighting for survival. You know, even figuratively, I'm fighting for survival because I don't have to anymore, but it's just ingrained in me now. And I'm thankful for that. So by becoming the bank, the unconventional way of doing real estate investing, I don't do fix and flips. I put up a post on my social media again of a house that I own where it was beat up, man. The thing was beat up. And I'm showing the transition of that house being fixed. And I didn't do any of that work. I didn't pay for any of that work. I still own the house. I made a ton of money off of it. So this is what it's done for me though. I acquired 5 properties and I've done 6 transactions in 5 months. In 5 months. Prior to that, 3 years, I did 3 flips and barely made any money off of each of them. So, but a lot of my students now ask me, why would a person let you take their mortgage over, you know, or where do you find these properties, right? And this is why I say, you have got to be creative. We've got to use the talents that we were given or the hardships that have formed us and made us be creative just in life, man. Whether it's, you know, asking her out on the first date. You got to be creative, man. She's definitely a lot better looking. So, or, you know, growing up in school and you went to school with raggedy clothes on, man, and you had to think of something clever to say because everybody's talking to you. You were being creative. We can use that same creativity now to run the race with the elite and win. Use that same creativity. Don't box yourself in. This is why mindset is the most important thing that we have. That's the most important thing that we have. I had a student ask me, what was the number one thing that made me so successful? And I thought about it for a second, and then I said, man, mindset. I finally got out of my own way. And now there is nothing that will stop me. I mean, nothing, because we're usually the ones that stop ourselves. So why would someone let you take over their mortgage, right? Well, think about it. Both Jeremiah and Levi brought up the pandemic. You know, people going into debt with their credit cards, not having savings, you know, $300-400 savings, and most people don't have that. So if you get an unexpected expense that is more than that, you're in trouble, right? Well, a lot of people weren't able to pay their mortgage. A lot of people, and there was a moratorium where they couldn't be foreclosed on, or they couldn't be evicted if they were paying rent. Well, those landlords that get rent paid to them, they have mortgages on those properties too. So the rent that we pay, they then take that rent and go pay the bank. And then they keep the spread in between. They keep the $300, $400, $500, whatever it is, while we pay the taxes and insurance and we pay the mortgage with our rent, right? Well, they weren't able to pay it either. Those people that are behind on mortgages now that the moratorium is over, the house I just got last week, that lady hadn't paid her mortgage in 614 days. 614 days. So I had made contact with her in February, and she wanted to go through the process and try to figure things out, write it out. Well, she got to the point where there were no more options, and she called me and she just asked me how much time she had left. She didn't think she had any more options. Well, she did. She did. But I've dug for this information and for this knowledge. So where do you find these properties, right? Guys, the thing that we have to know, especially the GoGetter family, we don't do gimmicky stuff. I do not do the gimmicky crap, man, where you go out and you buy 1,000 leads, or you buy those 1,000 leads and you sit there and cold call people all day trying to do a wholesale deal on their house and hope that lightning strikes, because you're just calling people saying, hey, are you still interested in selling your house? Was your house on the market? No, guys, you don't have to do that. We get creative, first off. Second, all of this stuff is public information. It is public knowledge. It's there for everybody. So you just have to know how to look in the right places. But the thing is, I stand on the shoulders of the giants that came before me. Like my mentor, the person that put this knowledge in the atmosphere for me to find, Chris Haskins. Man, the guy is a legend. And I'm standing on his shoulders and learning from him. And now there's people that are learning from me. You know, we have to, one, give credit to the people that we learned something from. And then two, it's okay that we don't know something. It's all right. We don't wake up knowing a thing. We don't. But we have to admit that and know that and be willing to learn. So I'm thankful for the people that came before me, that showed me these things, and that allowed me to use my creativity to then make it better, make it into my own thing, the GoGetter family. So guys, subject two. This is in the Barron's Real Estate Dictionary too, by the way, this definition. This is like the realtor's Bible for realtors, Bible for real estate investors. So subject two, it is a circumstance in which a buyer takes title to mortgaged real property, but is not personally liable for the payment of the amount due. The buyer must make payments in order to keep the property. However, with default, only the buyer's equity in that property is lost. So I'm going to say that in English. All right? You can take title to a mortgage property. So we go to a title company. For anybody in this audience that's ever purchased a home, we go to a title company and we close. So we get that deed in our name, because the deed to a house and the deed to a car are different, okay? They're not the same thing. I'm hot. So they're not the same thing. Oh, I might have to leave that on. Oh man, we're live too. All right. Hopefully you can still hear me. So they're not the same thing, guys. Cool. So they're not the same thing. The deed to a car, the title to a car, it has your lender's name on there, and then it has your name on there. So if you want to sell that car, you have to satisfy that debt first, because you can't transfer the deed. You can't transfer that title. Well, the deed to a house, it only has your name on it. It has your name. So the debt, the mortgage, it sticks with you. It sticks with that person, but you can transfer that deed as many times as you want to. As many times as you want to, and that debt is going to remain with that person. So that's what that means. And then we're not guaranteeing that debt. So only the buyer's equity in that property is lost. That means that if you don't make that payment, what you have paid so far, that's what you lose. If you made any repairs, that's what you lose. So I just want to break that down a little bit. Now, we also use creative financing. That's what the GoGetter family does. We use subject to and we use creative financing. There's two things that we don't do, right? Because I don't like to box myself in. We don't do reverse mortgages, and then I will not go into a bank and apply for credit to buy an investment property. I just won't do it because you don't have to. So seller financing can be a useful tool in a tight credit market. It allows sellers to move a home faster and get a sizable return on the investment. And buyers can benefit from less stringent qualifying and down payment requirements, more flexible interest rates, and better loan terms on a home that otherwise might be out of their reach. We turn our sellers into the bank. That's what that means. So when a person owns a home outright, there's no debt on it, so it's a for sale by owner. Instead of going to the bank and applying for credit to pay them $100,000 for that house, or using $100,000 of your own money, all you have to do is go negotiate with them, and we create a mortgage for that property. So we agree with them to make payments to them. That's the simplest way I can break that down. We just agree to make payments to them. I don't pay more than 2% interest either when I do that. So I know banks are much higher than that, and I normally don't pay a down payment either, but they're benefiting too because they're getting passive income every month. So it's just a matter of how creative you can get, really. And you gotta have the knowledge, right? This is why I always say you need a mentor or a coach. You have to stand on the shoulders of the people that came before you if you wanna learn how to do this the right way. And then once you get that information, that knowledge, then you take it and you spread your wings and you do your thing, just like the GoGetter family. That's what we do. So the 7 steps to becoming the bank. I'm gonna break this framework down for you guys because one of my other mentors, he says that truth is universal. Because I was talking to him and my experience was leaving me with this new thing, with the GoGetter family thing. Because I never planned on being an investment coach. I just planned on being an investor. So I was telling him, my experience leaves me when I'm doing certain things, but it's the same thing. And he said, Gene, truth is universal. I was like, man, you're right. A light went off in my head. So these 7 steps, you can take this framework and you can apply this to any entrepreneurial venture. All you do is make it specific to the strategy that you're using, right? So this is how truth is universal. The GoGetter family's 7 steps to becoming the bank. And I'm gonna tell you guys right now, this is the most liberating feeling that I have ever felt in my life. I don't have to put my Sunday's best on, go fill out a credit application, and have my hat in my hand, and hope that they're gonna finance my dream. I don't have to do that. I circumvent the institutions, and they don't like it. They're pissed about it, but I kind of like that I piss them off. You know, it's kind of fun. Because when you're playing within the rules of their game, they have to do what you're asking them to do, because it's their rules. I mean, but they made me dig for this knowledge. A couple of the books I got, they're not at Barnes and Nobles. They're not on the iPhone app for the audio books. The only place I could find them was Amazon. That's crazy, man. So that's when I knew, like, all right, there's something to this. So first is a new reality, a shift in mindset, and a new awareness, right? So the new reality is the traditional way of doing real estate investing, and then the non-traditional, the way that I invest in real estate, and the way that I'm teaching people to invest in real estate and give themselves freedom. Because I don't think it's financial freedom that people really want. I think it's just freedom itself that people are after. Financial freedom is merely a tool to give us that freedom. So the shift in mindset is the most important thing. That's why with our system, we teach our students that, first off, we are not super happy or joyous about results. I didn't go out and celebrate that $30,000 check that I got last week. I celebrated the fact that I stayed committed, I sacrificed, I worked hard, and that was a result of those things. Because when you are super overjoyed about the results, when you don't reach those results, you may give up and say, this doesn't work, I can't do it, because I didn't get the results that I want. But what we have to understand is this: we have our plans, and then God has his plans. 9 times out of 10, God's plans, are that's how it always ends up. But our plans are wrong. So if we go based off of our plans, we won't finish anything. So we've got to keep that in mind. So this is why we teach mindset, we teach commitment, we teach that fear is made up. Fear's a made up thing in our mind, that we think that something bad is going to happen in the future if we don't do this or if we make a mistake. But the future hasn't came yet. So faith is made up too. But we can choose faith based off of our hard work, our commitment, and our sacrifices. And if you choose faith, you'll win every time. You'll win every time. This is why I choose faith. I don't worry. I don't have fear. Oh, man. And it's almost an indescribable feeling. I can't put it into words. And as you guys can tell, I love to talk. So, step 2. Now, I wanted to compare that. Now, step 1, shift in mindset and awareness. It's the same thing with any industry that you go into. You have to have that shift in awareness. You do. Step 2 is establishing your playing field, right? Understanding the power of the go-getter family's contracts. So if you compare this to anything else that you do as an entrepreneur, you have to understand the rules within which you can play that strategy. Okay, so we just made it specific to this. So step 2, understanding the power of the go-getter family's contracts. Our contracts are what protects us. We can do anything. The pen will always be mightier than the sword, always. And if you understand these contracts and you understand the verbiage and where it goes and what to say, there's not a thing that you can't do. This lady called me last Wednesday, and she was going to sheriff's auction that coming Tuesday. So she was about to lose her house and not get anything. And then it was going to auction, and the sheriffs are going to come kick her out of her house. I mean, that's what they do. Once they auction it off, if you don't want to leave, they'll come remove you forcibly. But your ass has to go one way or another. So she didn't think that there was anything that she could do. Well, I know this for a fact. I'm the only person in my city with the know-how to do this deal, to do this transaction, because people won't open up their minds. I mean, that's fine by me. I put the knowledge out there, but if you don't want it, cool. There's more for me. But I told her, you do have an option. So she ended up getting $6,000 put in her pocket. She got her $15,700 that she was behind in her mortgage paid. Also, we help people as well. That's our mission, is to help people. Well, I tell people now, if you covet money, that the go-getter family isn't the right place for you, because we don't covet money. We are service-minded first, and if we serve others, if we help others, the results of that are beneficial for us and our family. So I went above and beyond, and I got her a moving company. She lived there for 18 years. She beat cancer. She takes care of her 6-year-old grandson. Her son has a brain injury. So, I mean, she's going through it, man. She didn't know what the hell she was going to do. She didn't. There's no hope left. And I mean, I'm going to be honest. Me and her bumped heads a couple times because she's lived a rough life. So she's had to build up a shell and a defense mechanism. So, yeah, me and her bumped heads. But, hey, I'm an honest guy, too. She had to learn that I was there to help her, in which she did get help. But without me, she would have got nothing. And her family wasn't there to help her. So I got her movers, and I paid somebody to come over and help her pack. So this is the power that we have as well, though. We can help people, and then we're helping our families at the same time. So with these contracts, I was able to force her lender to give me the payoff amount, first off, the reinstatement amount, because they didn't want to give it to me. I'm her power of attorney, and they didn't want to give it to her. So I had to go write the judge, and I wrote a letter, and it became a motion in the foreclosure court. So this is the power that we have, and they don't want us to know that. That's the thing. If we don't know it, we won't do it. And we have that power. We just have to have the knowledge. So contracts, understanding your playing field. You can do damn near anything that you want. This is super important. Step 3, it's value-based negotiation. How to negotiate in a way that's authentic and it gets results. So if you liken this to any other entrepreneurial venture, you have to know how to talk to your customer. You have to know how to talk to the people that are buying your product. You can't just say, this is the problem. And I get off topic sometimes, and my fiance tells me that too. I probably should start listening to her more. I think, I hope she ain't watching. So you got to know how to talk to the people that are buying your product. You can't just say, hey, my name is Gene Boykin. I started the GoGetter family, and I teach people how to do it. Come pay me. I got a website. You'll never get anybody to, you might get 1 out of 1,000 or something. So it's the same thing when people are like, they're wholesaling, they buy these 1,000 leads and they're cold calling and they're saying, hey, do you want to buy my house? We don't do that because 1, we actually care about people and we care about what happens to them and we know that we can help them. So we ask probing questions. It's called conversational negotiating. So we ask open-ended questions, interrogatives, and we find out what their pain point is. You have to find out what a person's pain is because I don't buy houses. I buy problems. And if I can be a solution to that problem, I get paid. And a person's problem gets solved. Everybody wins. So we ask open-ended questions, probing questions. We use mirroring. We use upfront honesty. We use self-deprecating humor. But we do this in a tactical way because we have to help them understand what their problem is. And then we figure out what the solution is, and we become the architect in between that gets them from their pain to their pleasure. Now, I want you guys to know this too, the people that are watching. Yeah, I can talk, I'm articulate or whatever, but not everybody is like that. But that doesn't mean that you can't be successful with this strategy. You can absolutely be successful with this strategy because we have to know what we're good at and know what we're not good at, and then we get people to help us and do what we're not good at. It's as simple as that. So you don't have to be a good talker and be able to articulate your words and all that to be able to do this. No, absolutely not. I got a student right now, man, that probably can't string together 3 words in a row, and he's about to close the deal. So we'll post the check, all right? Yeah. So, no, but it is important, man, when you're an entrepreneur and you're out here, we can't be so smug that we can just assume we know what a person's problem is and we can solve it. We got to talk to them. But there's a certain way that you go about that. And if you go about it the right way, 1, you engender trust. They will trust you and you establish rapport. And then they know that you're competent enough to be the solution to their problem. Because that poor woman that was about to be foreclosed on, she didn't trust the soul, man. And I don't blame her. I don't. But she thought her options were out. So I was fighting an uphill battle. I was. But then I also saw the benefits to me helping her as well. Because I benefited. When I say, yeah, I got a house for free. I own the house. I got paid $30,000. I didn't go into debt. I didn't spend any of my own money. But I helped this woman. I helped her family. I helped her avoid a tough situation. So this is the benefit of it. This is the benefit of it. And by doing it correctly, everybody in the situation, everybody wins. And you actually help out the little guy. And I always say this to my prospects too. We get to screw the bank over one last time. Because they're not going to be able to take your house that you've been paying on for 15, 20 years and built up all this equity, take it from you for nothing, and then sell it to some other poor soul and put them in debt and do the same thing over again. They're not gonna be able to do it because Gene's here from the GoGetter family. And we're go-getters, damn it. We're not gonna let them stop us. That's the thing. So I love it, I do. Now step 4, it's exit strategies, all right? It's how you make your money and scale your business. So when you buy a house, when you acquire a house, you gotta sell it to make money. So the best part about this, is by becoming the bank, you can sell your houses to people that normally wouldn't be able to qualify for a mortgage. That's what we do. I'm not a landlord. I don't rent houses. I'm not some slumlord that wants to make $1 million off of one house, charging you, an exorbitant amount of rent. We don't do that. It's one, because it's not right. And then two, people deserve home ownership. So we don't do credit checks. As long as you have a job, and we look at certain other indicators, and you're a good person, we're gonna work with you. We are. So this is how we sell our houses. We sell our houses rent to own. And as Levi and Jeremiah know, I'm sure, because one of them mentioned it, it's like 70-some% of the country has less than perfect credit. It's hard to qualify for a mortgage. It is. So with us, it's a great feeling, man, because when I acquired the house, we're helping a person. And then when we sell the house with our exit strategies, we're helping another person. I just sold the last two. I made $50,000 from August 16th, when I got a $20,000 check, to September 17th, when I got another $30,000 check. And those two people, they were investors. But I helped them because they didn't have to go to the bank and borrow money. And then they didn't have to come to me and give me, that last house was worth $127,000. They didn't have to give me a $127,000 chunk of money. So we're helping so many people in this that it really does upset the institutions. But I kind of like doing that. So, all right. So your exit strategy. And just like with any entrepreneurial venture, you have to know how you're going to make your money. You do. So you can use this framework because you have to understand these things in this order. When you start anything, you have to understand it in this order. You have to understand that there's a new reality in this entrepreneurial venture that you're going into. You have to establish your playing field, and then you have to learn how to negotiate. You have to understand your exit strategies. Step 5, finding prospects. How to never worry about finding deals. I love this part too. I do, because I don't buy prospects. First off, I don't buy lists because it's crap, man. You don't have to do it. You really don't have to do it. People are getting rich off of selling information that's there for the taking. It's free. You just got to know where to look. So we do everything organically. And just like this last transaction I did, I touched base with this lady in February. So I was the first person that talked to her. So she remembered me. That's the thing. Because in between that time, she's talked to realtors, she's talked to other investors that have reached out to her, and she's like, oh, they're all full of crap. They want me to make these repairs. They want me to pay the 6% commission, or they don't want to give me what the house is worth, this, that. But she remembered me because I reached out to her first. And I found that information where anybody else could find it. They just didn't have to go get it in them to look. I mean, that's just the bottom line. So finding prospects, if you can do this in a way that puts you ahead of the curve, you will never have to worry about finding deals. I've got 2 properties now when I go back that, man, this is gonna be another great deal. I'll say that much. And I already know they're so close to going to sheriff's auction. One goes to sheriff's auction November 2nd, the other goes November 9th. So we all have access to these deals. But I already know when I reach out to these people, I'm the only person with the know-how to get them out of that situation. And the information is there for everyone, right? So it makes it's unfortunate that these people are in these situations, but it makes it easier for us. It makes it easier for us, and we're the last people that can help them. That's the thing. So step 6, it's building your buyer's list. All right, I'll always have somebody ready to buy your property. The property before this, I like to get creative, and I teach people how to get creative as well. This is what I teach my students. So the last property, the property before, not the one I just did, but the one before that, it was beat up house, man, because we buy as is and we sell as is. I don't do fix and flips. I don't do fix and flips, man, and buy a house and then hope that a contractor is not selling me a dream, and can do the work as fast as he said and as cheap as he said. We don't do that. We don't. So the house before this, man, the thing was beat up. But I knew that no family would want to move in there because they'd have to do repairs. So all I did was I called down to my city's Section 8 department, I got a list of the landlords. That was an instant buyer's list. Instant. And I didn't pay a dime for it. And I established a new relationship with an investor. We've got to get creative. So now the investor that bought that, he's fixing the place up. He's doing all the work, paying for it. And I still own the house. He gave me a $20,000 down payment, and then he pays me monthly payments, and I make $300 a month off of those payments. And I gave him a 5-year option. So there were no credit checks, anything like that. I sold him the house on contract. So when he exercises that option in 5 years, he'll be giving me payments every month for 5 years. And then he'll pay me the full amount of the purchase price. I'll make another, I think on this one, it's $11,000 in 5 years. So throughout that time, I'm making passive income. And that's what Jeremy and Levi were just talking about, passive income. This is how we get rid of that damn job of being just over broke. Passive income. So, and the best part about it is, I'm not a landlord. I'm not a landlord, so I don't wake up in the middle of the night and go unclog toilets and fix leaky faucets and drive around in a rusty old truck with my tool belt on. We don't do that. They're responsible for the repairs and the maintenance because they're buying the house. They own it. Just like you can't call the bank when you have a mortgage and tell them your toilet's clogged and they're gonna come fix it in the middle of the night. It's not gonna happen. So we don't do it either, all right? But we got creative. We get creative. And we do these things by the blood, sweat, and tears that we have put in so far. When you learn the essence of a thing, it allows you to become more creative because you know the essence of it. You're not doing the gimmicky crap. You know, you see a commercial on TV and it tells you, it just sounds so great because they're using all the magic words and they're leading you down this path to buy something that really won't do what they're saying it's gonna do. No, I came from the dirt, man. I came from the mud and I love it. But that allows me to then not go down that path of the gimmicky stuff because I'm from the concrete. I'm from the concrete. So that's why I like dealing with people, you know, who are in tough situations and the institutions aren't going to help them. And they don't think that there's anything left, any other option left that they can do. Well, there is. And that's what we have to understand. We are not trapped by by the institution of lending, of banking, of real estate, any of that stuff. So step 7, this is super important too, because when you're an entrepreneur, one of my colleagues called it a solopreneur, which means you're doing everything. You do everything by yourself, from inventory, answering the phone, marketing, cleaning the bathroom, cleaning the kitchen, delivering the food. You're a solopreneur. So you're nothing but a glorified employee. So we teach our students how to build their team so you can work on your business and not in it, right? You don't have to work in your business. You're not chained to that business. You can step away from that business. You can go on a month-long cruise if you want to, and the business runs itself. The business runs itself and you're still getting paid. A lot of people say that they want to start a business because they want to work for themselves or they don't want to have a boss. But in the end, you end up having a boss if you don't set up systems so that your employees know exactly what they're supposed to do. Because a week ago, when I bought a Big Mac in Sioux City, and then I came out here and bought a Big Mac yesterday, they were both the same thing. And that wasn't because of the guy in Sioux City flew out here and made the Big Mac here. It's because they had a system. So they don't need the person that made the Big Mac in Sioux City for me. They need the system. The system runs the business. So this is what we teach. This is what the GoGetter family teaches people. We teach you how to get yourself a turnkey investment company. But we have a philosophy too, though, right? We're not going to teach you this stuff. We're not going to start at step 7. You think you can just have a turnkey investing company? Hell no. No, you're not a go-getter. That's for sure. So we want you, if your name's going to be on the front of the building, you got to know how to do the dishes. You got to know how to mop the floor. You got to know how to do the inventory. And then you see the fruits of your labor. Because you earned it, man. You earned it. It wasn't given to you. So step 7, we teach you, man, there's a lot that you can do within this step, with virtual assistants, people answering your phone, researching properties, even formulating deals for you, putting deals together for you, finding those properties, reaching out to those people. So we teach you how to do all that. And with this 7-step system, if you follow these steps from start to finish, what it does is it teaches you either if you're an investor, a current investor, you will increase the number of investment properties that you have by 2 times, or you'll get your first property in 90 days, and you'll do it without getting any new debt or needing a lump sum of money. I'll say this, the last house that I got, I literally didn't spend a dime out of my pocket on that one, and I didn't go into debt. The house before that, I spent $650. I spent $650. The house is worth $87,000. I've made on that house so far, to date, I get paid again on the 28th. That's when I collect my monthly payments. I've made $20,981. I spent $650. So this is what we can do with this strategy if you're willing to put in the work and learn it. And I hope that the people watching this, be it on the live stream or in the audience, now understand why I said a tear rolled down my cheek when I found this strategy. It literally has changed my entire life. So, guys, truth is universal, and I appreciate you listening. Thanks.
Everybody get another clap for Team Boykin. All right, so now we're going to open up with a Q&A to all 3 of these guys. So anybody got any questions about credit repair, financial, and real estate, let the questions become. Any questions?
Yeah, I got a question about the financial. What's the app, man? What is the app for the credit card tracking?
So when you go into Mint, when you go into Good Budget, they allow you to basically put your card information in there. So your login for your credit cards or for your banking information, so that all uploads on there. So
Really?
you see actual tracking.
Mint
It's
or
a
Good
security
Budget?
feature, it's gonna ask you for that information. Every dollar does that as well.
What was that question? And say that in the mic.
So these budget apps that are available to you, they're gonna ask you for your login for your credit card information, for your banking information, so that stuff actually tracks for you. So you'll have all of the information processing for you. Yeah.
Oh, let me tell the question was, what was the app that he mentioned that'll track your credit card charges for you? I was just telling these guys, man, I look at my business bank account, and a new charge from Apple is on there every day from an app that I ordered or some service, man. I don't know what the hell it is. I don't spend like $400 a month. So that's huge, man. Huge.
Any other questions, guys?
Let me look on the line.
With the getting things off your credit report, there's the Hipaa one for the medical collections. How does that work, or how do you get that?
Okay, so the question was, how do you get the medical collections with HIPAA off your credit file? Well, first and foremost, you can call me because that's my specialty. Or what you want to do is you basically we do a dispute process with the credit bureau. So that's what the Fair Credit Reporting Act allows us to do, and we are going to go and we're going to dispute that item and request that they provide proof that it's available to be on our credit report because it's a HIPAA violation. 9 times out of 10, we get that off fairly simple, very simple. If you have Credit Karma and you see that you can go online and dispute items, you guys do not want to do that. The simple fact being that when you go through and request a dispute online, there's a little box with terms and conditions that we have to check. Do you guys ever read those when you get your apps updated? I don't think so, right?
No.
Well, there's a little phrase in there that's summarizing, and I'm going to butcher it. But what the phrase says is that if we, by disputing this online, you're waiving your right to prosecution if the information is inaccurate, but we validate it. So if they validate the information inaccurately, or if they don't do it in the timely manner according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you waive your ability to dispute that item and sue the credit bureau for the money for them having it on your report. So by doing that on the online process is not the best practice, but that's how you do it. You basically are disputing those items with the bureaus.
I got a question. This one's for you, Gene.
Yeah.
How many houses can you own subject to?
You can buy as many houses subject to as you want, as many as you're gonna put the work in for it. So, I'm gonna give you an example just real quick. Well, just real quick, man, we buy our houses in trust, right? And we buy them in trust for several different reasons. But one of those reasons is it gives you anonymity and it gives you layers of protection from litigation. But a lot of people don't buy in trust. And I'm sure that you guys have heard of trust before just because of wealthy people. Well, I looked up one of the management properties in Sioux City. And these people own 83 properties, right? And my brother-in-law is buying a property from them on contract. So long story short, they have, you can use this to exploit people because they've been using it since the beginning of real estate to exploit people. They have foreclosed on that property 5 times, all the way up to my brother-in-law. They're selling them on contract. So they use it to exploit people, but they own 83 properties. So as much work as you want to put in, man, you can own as many properties as you want. You know, I own 6 now and have done 6 transactions, and that's since April. So we'll see.
The other thing with a trust is they're harder to penetrate. So let's say, for instance, you got into an accident or something like that, and someone wanted to sue you. Having that trust, it doesn't have the property actually in your name. It's inside the trust. So it's a legal protection too. So it's something that a lot of people should look into as well.
Yeah, so to add to that too, with what we do with my actual background is I'm a financial literacy coach, right? And I help people with credit repair. That's our flagship product. But when they come into our platform, like I said, we are trying to help people build that foundation for financial futures. So we actually will help people set up a will, trust, and power of attorney because we have access to credit attorneys that are working on the credit repair piece for them, which is very valuable. And I'm sure my friend here, Jeremiah, will explain that to you. But the trust, it will tell you exactly how you can go and set that up, how to add property to that. And what the thing about that is, if you know any wealthy person in this country, big name, doesn't matter, think of who they are, all of their assets are in a trust because what ends up happening is you own nothing, but you control everything. Which means that if I go slip and fall on your property and I go to an attorney, the first thing they're gonna look up to see if they can sue you is what you owe or what you own. And because you have everything in a trust, you technically don't own anything. So if you were to sue that wealthy person, you're not suing them because they don't own anything. They have a trust in place. So this is the power that's available to us all that's been kept away. And some of these documents, a will, a trust, and power of attorney, are well over $1,000 each item. And we do that for free for our clients with unlimited updates.
These are great questions, you guys.
Any questions on there?
No more questions, man. Stay up here. So, hey, this reality, my bad, this vision became a reality today. I had this vision 2 months ago to put this together for the people. Just because I'm like, man, how many people in the world that don't have that financial education just to see what to do with the money, you know, where to go with the money. And I'm like, I gotta do something for the community. Then again, I'm not even from Fresno, but I brought something to Fresno. And they gonna know who Coach Cordell is by the time if I do leave Fresno. So just remember that. And I brought these 3 amazing guys. They came from out of state just to come show people love today. And I want to say thank you guys. Everybody clap for these guys. And this ain't the last time you're gonna see Financial Trinity. Promise you that. Promise you that. Thank everybody for coming, everybody watching on the stream. Hey, it's a wrap. We out of here. Yeah. Let's get that.
Ready, go ahead and get a little closer. There we go. Awesome. 3, 2, 1. Cool.
Hey, good job. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate Thank you guys for coming. Oh, thank you.
Y'all get one first.
Okay.
You know my jacket on.
You going for those?
Oh, yeah.
Cordell. I told you, you sweat.
Hey, Coach went over there and turned the air on for me.
Hey, no, I forgot.
burned up.
Bro, I was burned up too, bro. I forgot you gotta spin that thing. That timer.
Oh, so you can control it.
Yeah.
Oh, so the air wasn't.
That's
tough.
Like coach on that one.
Okay, hold on, I'm trying to practice.
Just snap away. That's what I always do.
Okay.
All right, D, come on. We got the future. Let's go, bro.
I'm just trying to
Tisha,
get,
get over here.
trying to get his phone.
Tisha, come on. I do got a better phone. I do got the better phone.
I'm so shocked they let me use this old thing.
I got my information.
Hey, I need these pictures, man. Make sure I can-
Yeah. You just had to send them. Come on.
Oh, this is way better. Okay. Should we just start over? Because this phone is way better than mine.
Oh, yeah, you got that junk. Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I mean like,
When
for,
everybody
like
posting
yeah,
again?
like
Oh,
where
man,
you
it's
had
kinda
the
hot.
men and the
We gotta do that at
two.
dinner tonight.
Oh my gosh. You know, like,
Cordell don't turn the heat on.
I told them to not be sweating.
Now you make a bake.
Price that build up around my
Oh, no. Here, this got my number, man. Yeah, the website on there, well, it's Dubb. Go get it, family. So yeah, you just call that number, man. Text it or whatever. Yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah, as a matter of fact, you can just text me your number later or whatever. And whatever the rest is, let me know. I'll shoot it to you. I'm excited to see your work, man. All right, yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you for everything, man.
Thank you.
It's gonna
All
be
right,
our first
man.
time.
Appreciate you, bro. You know what to do. Hit me up.
I got some
Got
stuff.
you. Yep.
So I'll have to get it on my. Let me edit this. We up there taking pictures and the broadcast still going.